All right, what's going on, everybody? Back with another one. Want to provide you guys with some content, a live stream in the flesh this Saturday evening. What is this? March 16th, 2024. So the last couple streams I did was about Dr. Umar, but shout out to DC. DC shared with me some new interesting developments. Recent audio or video clip of Dr. Umar once again weaponizing the one drop rule to try to persuade mulattoes to do his bidding for him. That's a constant theme with the black nationalists, especially the Dr. Umar types, right? The Pan-Africanists. They're going all over the world to try to find anybody with African blood or African heritage to literally be on his team to do his dirty work. Okay. Now, I'm only speaking about the guy because he's speaking about us. Okay. That's fair. What's fair is fair. And this is definitely necessary for my audience to understand the strategies and the tactics that the black nationalists use to weaponize the one drop rule against mulattoes. They view mulattoes as a utilitarian class of people to be used. And Dr. Umar Johnson himself has even publicly said, oh, it's important for us to be more welcoming to biracials because if we can't use them, oh, well, then white people are going to use them. You see, that's precisely how the black nationalist, the black supremacist views mulattoes as a utility. So we're going to talk about that. Like I said, shout out to DC. She shared this clip with me. She put in the comment section under my recent stream. So obviously, I'm not going to dedicate this entire channel to Dr. Umar Johnson, obviously, but he's providing me with good commentary and good content that I can make because he's talking about us. And for so long, a lot of these people, these black nationalists, they they've been speaking about us, generalizing us, spreading conspiracy theories about us, essentially putting a target on our back, putting us in an interesting position, and they've had it very easily, or I should say, they haven't been challenged. Okay, they haven't been challenged. Nobody's ever cross-examined them, his cross-indexed any of their rhetoric, any of their talking points or arguments. Nobody's really observed any of this stuff. A lot of the mulattoes, okay, just basically sat down and shut up and was quiet because they wanted to flex their new Jordans, their new Air Force Ones. They're from the hood. They down with the hood. They listen to Nipsey Hussle. They smoke blunts. They wanted to fit in to quote unquote the culture. So they just take L's right along with it. Okay, that's kind of their rite of passage to get all the light skin jokes, right? They're going to spread these conspiracies about mulattoes being duplicitous. And of course, they're going to make all light skin jokes. You weak and light skin. And a lot of these mulattoes, they just take it. They've been conditioned. And what I've seen is mainly a lot of those older than me. Okay. A lot of those older than me, they've been conditioned that way. And I realize that's now. It's like, look, I'm not from that era, that generation. And I'm not from that community. I'm not from that environment. I never put up with shit from anybody. So if I'm not going to put up with shit from whites or Mexicans, what the fuck makes you think that I'm going to put up with shit from your black ass? Spreading these conspiracies about me, dirty macking me, trying to say I'm duplicitous, I'm untrustworthy, trying to basically discredit me and tarnish my market value. You think I'm just going to sit up here and smile? Hey, yeah, I listen to hip hop. I'm down with the hood. I see a lot of these cats out here, a lot of these mulattoes. That's fine. It's cool because now I'm just basically documenting all of it, observing it, documenting it. Let's get right into it. I'm going to get right into it right now. Enough with my spew, my monologue. Let's get into this. So, shout out to DC, like I said. Really appreciate her, everything she shares with me. Definitely, her engagement is on fleek over around these parts because she shares a lot of good stuff with me. So yeah, so this DC shared this with me earlier today, and they're talking about a lot of things. What with the title here, Yachi, I think it's like a rapper, Yachi Mitch, and Dr. Umar, End Racism, a Safe Place. Yeah, okay, yeah. But I'm only going to cover a couple minutes of this because he's speaking about biracials. So you got a biracial guy here. These people cannot speak for us. They're not us. Okay. We don't belong to them. I'm not a part of their community. They don't speak for us. And as I said a couple minutes ago, they've literally, they act like they own us. They want to speak for us, talk about us. We're not the same people. Okay. Blacks don't have a white parent. Okay, or white grandparents if you're a multi-generational mulatto. Okay, I wouldn't even say you're multi-generational, I just say you're mulatto. But that's a whole nother discussion for another time. But for all these years, at least over a decade, they've been speaking for us and about us. Okay, now we have the microphone. Now we're talking back. So let's get into this. Fair use. Like, you guys, to be a man in his 40s, I think Umar is probably like in his mid 40s, to go around and like grift and make your whole persona about being a victim of another group of people, you know, I mean, how long, like, doesn't it get tiring after a while? And don't you look at yourself and like, look, I don't see Asian people doing this, East Indians, Hindu, I don't see Mexicans, Latinos, everybody's about their business. And trust me, I'm in my mid 30s, I'm working towards that. I'm only really harping on the communitar right now and going like, balls to the walls hard right now because a lot of mulattoes are trapped and they feel like they don't understand. They think they don't have another option. They feel like they have to. There's binary nature of thinking. They have to either pick black or white. And if they look more black, they're like, well, I just got to just accept my subordinate position with the blacks. I'm trying to let these mulattoes know, look, you have another option. There's people out here who sympathize with you, who understand what you're going through. Let's work it out. Let's strategize. Like, we have a lot in common. Let's explore that and build upon that. And so that's basically why I harp so hard on the community talks. I feel like a lot of mulattoes are stuck there. And trust me, I'm not trying to save them all. Fuck that. But I'm trying to let them know that they have another option. I'm just a voice, one voice out here. But as this grows, as my platform grows, and as my social media presence grows, I'm going to be about the business of mulattoes building, having having structure, having a community. Essentially, we already have a community, but building upon that. So I'm not going to position myself to just go attack, or not attack, but to review Dr. Umar and this other person or that person. It's necessary now in this kind of infancy stage to get the information out there, to let people know, hey, we see what you're doing. We're watching you, we're analyzing it, we're documenting it. But over the next, few years, we're going to basically evolve. I'm going to evolve as I mature. I'm just saying, looking at Dr. Umar, because he's probably over a decade older than me, but he's still crying about the white man, the evil white man. I'm like, you're a grown man, Umar. Where's that school? You should be building. You have families to feed and stuff like that. Like, you should be about your business. How are you still crying about white men when where I'm at and I'm working in this area, I'm going around, driving around, I'm like, all these white men, they have families. They're supporting their families. Like, they have jobs or businesses, etc. Like, these are real people, real Americans supporting their families, and they're in their community. It's like, why can't you do that? Why are you complaining about another man? Let's get right into this. Fair use. Distinction between Afro Dominicans or Spaniard Dominicans. A lot of the Dominican Republic was referenced as the Mulatto Republic. There's a lot of mixture there with the Taino, indigenous, Spanish, which is European, and then African. So it's like you have people who could be, say, European Dominican or Spanish Dominican, but they have some African admixture. And then vice versa. You could have more African presenting Dominicans, but would they have like Spanish presenting admixture? There's a lot going on there. But the thing is, it's the weaponization of the one drop rule. Now, Umar focuses on the identity component because he understands that it's important. If he can manipulate them, psychologically manipulate them to identify with him, then he can use them to fight his battles for him. And he has nothing to offer. He doesn't have a school. He doesn't have businesses. He doesn't have any money. He's not going to offer you anything. Any of you mixed Africans, as he puts it, all he's going to offer you is fake acceptance, an invitation to the cookout. He's going to give you a black card, a crusty, cornbread, barbecue stained black card. He's going to say, come to my cookout so we can make light skin jokes on you and punk you, right? That's all he has to offer. It's very laughable at this point when it's like most of these people, you look at them, it's like you guys could get better deals everywhere else, literally on the planet. Why the hell are you dealing with this guy? But yeah, fair use.
You base that off the color of the skin?
No, it's ancestry.
It's not the color of skin, it's ancestry. Yeah. We already went over that, like the percentages. I don't get too fixated on the percentages. But the whole thing is, it's like, yeah, like I said, you have people who are like Europe, like Spanish Dominicans. There's a woman that I follow on IG and TikTok, Dominican woman. And it's like, yeah, she looks more uh quintessential Latina. Okay. Now, if you're more black or Afro Latina, that's the thing. They put the word Afro in front of it to distinguish. And so there's a lot going on there with the admixture. You have Afro Dominicans who have Spanish admixture and vice versa, the other way around. Race refers to physical differences, phenotype, like skin color, as well as other social and biological attributes, physical differences, quote unquote, phenotype, that groups and cultures consider significant. Okay, it's basically groups and cultures consider significance. It's up to interpretation. It's up to interpretation. Ethnicity refers to a shared cultural characteristics such as language, ancestry, practices, which could be traditions, culture, okay, and beliefs, religion. And nationality is just basically whatever piece of land you're born on, okay, right? Whatever piece of land you're born on, that's your, like, I think Kobe Bryant, rest in peace to Kobe Bryant. You would say he's African American, right? The Lakers NBA superstar. But I believe he was born in Italy on an American military base, if I'm not mistaken, because it's American territory. So anybody who's born on a U.S. military base is born in American territory. So their nationality is American. Doesn't matter wherever on the planet, wherever they are. Okay. So that's nationality. Like Michael Jordan. You notice Michael Jordan is never in, he's blacker. Michael Jordan's blacker than Dr. Umar, and he's richer and he's more successful, more accomplished, has more respect amongst all humans worldwide, right? Doesn't matter the race, culture, anything. More people respect him. And you notice that Michael Jordan never gets involved in these type of discussions because once you hit that level, it's like you can't, what's the point? You're losing business. Okay. Yeah, even I think Kobe Bryant never really got into these discussions. Shaquille O'Neal doesn't. These are all basketball players, but they're relevant because they're all kind of closely connected with the African American psyche. And of course, Dr. Umar is connected to that psyche as well. But yeah, he's definitely been damaged psychologically in this nation. He's a powerless individual who's searching for power. And Dr. Umar realizes his own folks aren't going along with him, especially the men. The men know he's a scammer, grifter. It's the women that he's his support system, his network is the baby mamas, right? The support system. So he's frustrated with that he's limited with personnel to support him. So now he's turning to the biracials. He knows that a lot of these biracials are just looking to belong. They want to belong to a group. They feel, fragmented without identity, culture, etc. Well, they have a culture, but it's just being kind of fully represented as authentic inside that culture is where a lot of biracials kind of get messed up in the game, so to speak. So Dr. Umar knows that, and he's taking advantage of that. Like I said, he's a black nationalist, so he looks at the mulattoes as uh, a group, a utilitarian group, and he's very opportunistic. Where he looks at them, he can use them to help build his base, his grift, so to speak. Let's continue on, fair use.
Because when you're talking about race, you have to look at two criteria.
By the way, just wanted to pause because I mentioned 3 guys, NBA guys. I mentioned Kobe Bryant. He has biracial kids. I mentioned Michael Jordan. He has biracial kids. And I mentioned Shaquille O'Neal. I don't believe he does, but I mentioned those 2 guys, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan. They got biracial kids. I mean, they call it the National Biracial Association, the NBA, for a reason, right? And Dr. Umar thinks he's going to weaponize those individuals to serve him. For what? What do they get? Fake acceptance? Yeah. When these biracials, these mulattoes, when the treatment they're going to get from the community and all the rhetoric they're going to see online, they're going to reevaluate their position. They're going to ask questions. They're going to go do some research on the internet. Guess what? So this is, I guess, the producer here, who's quote unquote mixed race, a mixed race African, as Dr. Umar says. But her mom's black. I guess her dad's white, right? Maybe her mom is like mixed. I don't know. But it's black identified. Regardless, you see how he goes to her, and it's he does this with the men and the women. He tries to persuade the men and the women, but he like I mentioned this in the last stream. They're guys, the black nationalists, the men especially, Dr. Umar, they're more focused on the women because they feel like it's an easier target to manipulate them, to persuade them, to date black, to be black, and all the Pan-African shit. And I'm looking at this woman here. I'm like I said, her mom's probably like mixed, not even blackety black black. She doesn't look black at all. Like, how the hell anywhere in Africa, she's a white lady. Like, none of the Africans are ever gonna call her black. Even in America, people they're not gonna call her black. Like, people will well, yeah, a lot of people here in America will call her black, but obviously it's gonna be based off her culture. Once they hear her, when she opens her mouth, how she talks, her intonation, the accent, etc., those factors, how she dresses, look at who she's hanging out. I mean, look at her business. She's there at the podcast with these like rapper guys, Yachi and all this stuff. So, they're going to make judgments, whatever, based off that. But phenotypically looking at her, she's lighter than me, skin tone, even her hair texture. I don't know the woman's first time seeing her, but I'm just sitting there like, she's not black at all. But this weaponizing the one drop rule, and she's going to get outgrouped in the black group, and she's going to be a minority amongst that group. So the wise decision would be to literally just create your own situation, create your own group. You have other people who look just like her, similar like her, who share an experience. Why not link up with them? That's the logical solution. But to try to get accepted amongst, you look at those 3 men that we saw, they're all darker skin. And here you look at her, this is the preference. This is their preference, right? It's like you're not even, you're a different race than them. Yeah, you're biracial. Those are blacks. You're biracial. You're not the same race. Let's continue on, fair use.
Here's the question. She could pass if she wanted to.
What do you mean by she could pass? She's more white than she is black anyways. She doesn't even need to pass. It's just her birthright. Like nobody, like I'm saying, even looking at this video, look at this guy, Dr. Umar, and then the woman that we just had on the screen. These are 2 different races of people. You got the black men on that side, and you have the producer woman, the biracial woman. Like, she doesn't have to pass for anything. She's not black. Like, can we be honest with ourselves here, people? I know I mentioned this, I think, in a private message with somebody earlier today, or I posted a comment somewhere, maybe TikTok, where it's like, yeah, they purposely want to muddy the waters, blur the lines, and fool people to play this game to try to hoodwink you. try to pretend like you're in the group, but then they'll conveniently outgroup you if you don't like agree with them on something, right? It's like I'm looking at her like you don't look anything like those people there. It doesn't make any sense in today's world, 2024.
Let me ask you, Queen. You black. Well, let me ask you.
See, funny, you see how he says that? Oh, so your mom's black. Oh, so you came out of a black vagina, so you black. No, because remember I told you the conflicting philosophies with these black racists? They'll always say, oh, well, it's the seed of your father. Whatever your father, I really see that stuff over on TikTok. Whenever somebody, like, shout out to Biracial Awareness, whenever he puts a video up, you got some black guy jumping in there. It doesn't matter. There's no such thing as biracial. The seed of your father determines the race and the color. But I told you, with these black racists, they always move the goalpost. So now you got Dr. Umar's like, oh, well, you came out of a black vagina, so you're black. Wait a second. According to y'all people's philosophy, it's the seed of your father. And you look at her phenotypically, so I'm like, her mom is probably like mixed or, a griff. People don't really use that term publicly. It's only on the internet, really. But I'm looking at her like, yeah, she's like, you know, what about the seed of your father? I thought, and Dr. Umar pushes that stuff as well. The seed of your father, but they change based on how they weaponize the one drop rule. I'm trying to get my audience to understand this. They will always change the criteria to fit their agenda, to weaponize the one drop rule, to basically humble you, put you back in your place as a subordinate serving blacks. So tomorrow they're going to say it's a CDO father, but today Dr. Umar is saying, oh, well, you came out of a black vagina, so you're black, right? They make up the rules. And I'm telling these mulattoes, look, if you want full sovereignty and personal autonomy, you're going to have to make up the rules yourselves. Click up, find other people, develop a criteria. We have a 9 criteria developed by, AJ, the moderator, which I personally, am building upon, but this is what I strive for. Okay, you guys got to take ownership of yourselves, because these black nationalists, they're going to make up all the rules and change the rules to fix their whole agenda, and they're going to weaponize that one drop rule against you. Okay, and they switch. Like I said, before I continue on, I'm going to repeat it. Today, Dr. Umar is going to tell you, oh, well, the black gene is dominant. You came out of a black vagina, so you're black. Tomorrow, Dr. Umar is going to talk to a biracial with a black dad. He's going to be like, well, you're the seed of your father, so you're black. You biracials better wake up and smell the coffee. Okay, fair use.
Yes.
Always resort to, whenever you affirm yourself as being biracial, I identify as biracial. What are they going to do? The black racists like Dr. Umar, they're going to use the scare tactics. But you see, the world we live in a very beautiful world. I mean, it's a lot of people. I was watching a video earlier today about Blasians and Hoppas, or Hoffa, Blasians, and Wasians, right? The differences in Japan between black Asians and, biracial black Japanese, and then biracial white Japanese. I was watching a video about that today, the differences. And so we live in a massive world. Okay, I haven't been to Asia yet. Been to Europe. Talked to some biracials in a few biracials in England. And when I was even over in like Amsterdam, the Netherlands, and Belgium, and even Paris, I see biracials all over the place. They're in Europe, all over America. And so this guy, this Dr. Umar, this flawed strategy to try to take us back in time to civil rights and slavery, and then, oh, in the world we live in, all they have are these scare tactics, and these are humbling tactics. They're going to weaponize the one drop rule. They're going to try to scare you. Say, oh, white people, the world we live in. I'm like, I would never trade my position with someone like Umar or anybody else. I like what I'm doing, where I'm at. I have to just get smarter, get stronger, get more money, establish more protections. Okay. I'm doing good. I just have to continue on. So the scare tactics are futile, but this is all they have. All they have is this, oh, the world we live in, those people are going to see you as just a black. So you got to come over here and kiss my dark skinned black butt, because them white folks really don't like you. I mean, You know, it's not like you people like us either. Oh, that's because you don't act right. You got an attitude. You got an attitude. We listen to your music. We see how you act. You got an attitude just like everybody else. So now what? You're not paying me. Okay, well, then get out of my face. And that lady who's in that whole situation, she's getting paid. The rapper guy, little Yachi, whatever, this guy here, like she's on the payroll. Good for her. Good for her. She identifies as biracial. So, world. Because Dr. Umar travels for sure. I travel too. So we're just like any other American that's got a passport, you travel. What do you mean the world don't work? Yeah, we check the boxes. I check the boxes. I don't check black. And it's like they always try to speak for you, and they have this kind of supremacist mindset where like they act like they know everybody. When we know Dr. Umar is an anti-white racist. So it's like he doesn't speak about he can't, I should say, he can't speak about the world because he's closed-minded. He wants to pretend like he has this, expansive view of this Pan-Africanism and this global Pan-Africanism, but it's really a small, minute circle, honestly. He doesn't have that much support because if he did, he wouldn't be begging for Cash App donations. His school would have been opened up. That school would have been opened up a decade ago if, he wasn't like hurting for cash or panhandling out here. So I really dislike how they try to act like, oh, the world's just going to see you as black in the world. Like these people, a lot of them aren't even traveled. They're in their own little crappy hood and they don't know what the hell they're talking about. The biracial's got to push. She looks more white than black. She's got maybe some curls in her hair, and then she's got like brown eyes or something. Look at her skin complexion. This is not a black woman, guys. Let's not fool ourselves. Now, the black men in the room, it's interesting. This is a gender dynamic here because if there were some black women in the room, they would be the first ones, if they were proud black women, they like being black women, they'd be the first ones to push back and be like, look, you're not like me. You don't have the same experience as me. Okay. But because it's black men in the room, they want her to identify with them so they can have easier access to the box. Does that make sense, guys? This is how they work in their community. Okay. This is how the game works. 75+% illegitimacy rate doesn't happen by accident. When their main metric of manhood, of like social status, is how many chicks that they've had versus other groups of men, it's about business, business acquisition, how much property you have, what do you own. When you deal with this demographic, it's about how many women you laid up with, right? The body count or whatever. So yeah, they're gonna try to get her to identify. They're not gonna gatekeep blackness. The three black men in the room, when they see this biracial woman, no, they're gonna open up the door for every mulatto. You could have 2% African in you. They're going to want her to identify with them because they want sexual access. Dr. Umar has got 2 baby mamas, probably more than that. Someone put a comment on my other live stream was saying he has like 3 baby mamas. I don't know. I lost count. All I know is he never married the women, but he has kids by multiple women, didn't marry them. It's common for guys like him in his community. You look at these rappers like Flavor Flav and Future, some of the other individuals. It's very common. Or Nick Cannon. But the thing is, like a Nick Cannon or somebody in Flavor Flav, Future, if you got money, you can support the kids. Okay, that's your business. I'm not going to talk crap on these men. Okay, if they're professional men, they got money, they can provide for the children. That's their business. I'm out of line as a man to talk crap on them like that. But I'm just saying that there's a trend there, a cultural trend in the community where you have multiple women and you have multiple bastard kids. Now, Dr. Umar has kind of went public with that before, talking about how the baby mamas wouldn't let him see the kids and stuff like that. So that's an issue that they have in their community. Before I move on, what I want to say is imagine if it was reversed. This is a biracial woman here who's more so European presenting. What if it was a biracial man sitting in that? What if I was sitting there? I'm not European presenting. I'm more so like Puerto Rican presenting, right? Which they would say Afro Latino or something. I'm just American mulatto. But if you had a guy there with her similar phenotype, but it was just switched to gender, it was a male, and you think all those black men Okay, all those dark-skinned black men, they would be all like open door policy. Do you think? No, they would gatekeep blackness because that's what they do. The dark-skinned Bantus, they gatekeep blackness. Who can represent being a black man? They're gonna want it to be a dark-skinned Bantu, like a Kwame Brown guy, right? Right? They don't want a biracial guy like a Steph Curry representing what it is to be black. Remember Dr. Umar? He has multiple streams. I've covered it where he cries and whines, oh, the future of black America is going to be mixed race. They want us all to look like Steph Curry. You see that? He has an issue with that. Steph Curry's mixed race. You see the contradiction from these black racists? They have an issue with the men, the dark-skinned Bantus. They have an issue with a mulatto or a biracial man being the representation of what it is to be a black man in America. But they don't have an issue with an Ice Spice or this lady here, clearly mixed race, more European and African. They have no issue with this woman representing being a black woman in America. And you know what? Black women got to call it out because they're the ones who gatekeep what it is to be a black woman. Now, if that room had all dark-skinned black women, they would let this woman know she's not just like them. She has privileges. She has light-skin privilege because of the preference, the texture, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I'm pointing this out. You guys know this. My audience knows this. We've all witnessed this. We see the game that they have a big gender war in their community. They're fucked up. I mean, I hate to say that like that, but like I said, referencing the 75+% illegitimacy rate, no generational wealth, broken homes, broken families. Like, but then the thing is, they turn to biracials to try to use us or something like that. And I'm sitting here watching this. It's like, we know you people pick and choose who gets to be black when it's convenient. So because you got the mixed woman here, all the dark-skinned Bantu black men in the room, they want to claim her as being black. But if that was a mixed man like Steph Curry, Dr. Umar's had multiple streams crying, oh, we're all mixed race is going to be the future of black America. They all want all the black men to look like Steph Curry or Klay Thompson. Right? You guys, I don't need to even say anything further on that topic. I'll probably talk about it again in the future, but you see the game they play. They flip and switch and move the goalposts depending on the gender of the biracial and how their strategy, their agenda to neutralize us and to weaponize us. Okay. Continuing on, fair use. My sister, he's trying to build that connection, or he called her queen. It's funny because I read the book. I own the book by George Jackson, the Soledad brother, George Jackson, and he wrote the book in like the late 60s or early 70s. I forgot. It was like literally 50 years ago. And he pointed that out in the book where he talked about kind of the strategy of a lot of blacks, and he's black himself, George Jackson, kind of lighter skin hue. But in his book, he talked about how like there's a lot of blacks who will call you a brother to kind of to kind of establish like there's some loyalty or trust there. See, this is a game, a little kind of slick con game they've been doing for literally decades, right? Right before they try to rip you off or to trick you or scam you, they'll sit there and call you a brother or a sister. Like if that's like any loyalty there, it's like, no, it's just a word. It's a word that they'll use. And I'm seeing that this tactic being used by Dr. Umar, calling this woman who's clearly more so European than African, and she identifies as biracial, he's calling her a sister. Now, Dr. Umar, he even called me a brother publicly. Like I said, I met the guy. So it's like this is a strategy they use to try to establish this kind of like connection or loyalty. It's like, I don't know you, fam, brother, oh, the queen, the sister. I don't fucking know you, homie. Shared that with me. I do have another clip that I do want to play. It's a short clip as well, but I want to get into some of your guys' comments. I've seen you guys put some comments up in here, so shout out to you guys. Hello, Mulatto here. A video I wanted to share with you. And Slim Queens, what happened last time you were on the panel? You said hello, but you didn't continue talking. You put your exactly. They keep manipulating biracials to be black while complaining about biracials stealing their image. Yeah, stealing their image. And the black women will complain about Zendaya and other biracial women stealing their image. And then the black men will do the same thing. the black men will cry and complain about biracial men stealing their image, like Dr. Umar. Dr. Umar cries about these NBA players stealing the black image, like Klay Thompson or Steph Curry. He cries, but as the black men, they have no issue because their preference is the biracial woman. So they want that light skin vagina. So they have no issue pedestalizing the biracial women, putting them as the image of blackness. But it's interesting in their community, there's a lot of dysfunction in the community because it doesn't work the other way around, meaning that black women don't pedestalize biracial men. Black women don't prefer biracial men. So there's not really an equal fair trade-off in that community. Where a lot of biracial men, from where I know, where I come from, Southern California, they get either white women or mostly they get Latina women. I've had the best success with Latina women. Most of my partners have been Mexican women. So it's like we know, like we're gonna go, we're celebrated. And I'm not saying like I've dealt with a lot of black women, but I'm just being realistic. Like, and I analyze other people's stories where it's like, yeah, biracial men are not the preference in with black women, but with black men, biracial women are the preference. So the community has a lot of issues, internal issues that they have to solve. But I have no idea why they want to scapegoat biracials and try to point the finger at us as if it's like, look, we're just going to get the best deal we can out here. I'm just trying to provide these people with another option, and they're going to get the best option that fits them. That's it. See to your father and came out of black vagina. Yeah, what is it? Jewish law. Yeah, they're making up some pro-whack Pan-Africanist law that fits their agenda. Shout out to DC because she shared that clip with me. I didn't even know. Like I said, I don't keep tabs on Dr. Umar. People share stuff, or like the last live stream I did, the video just kind of came up with my avatar or something. I don't know, or not. Excuse me, the algorithm. It's kind of late. The video came up within the algorithm, so I just kind of looked at that video. He's talking about white mom biracials. Oh, interesting. Because like I said, they always pick and choose. You got the black mom. Oh, you came out of black vagina. You black. You got the black dad. He's like, oh, you the CDO father. So they're trying to use you biracials, and sadly, I feel like a lot of biracials like being used. It's disgusting, especially when I look on TikTok. Just that need of belonging, the want to be accepted, the need of belonging is a lot of what these mulattoes are deprived of. And so they easily jump into a situation where they can be punked and manipulated. Like I said, my whole platform, I developed it to literally basically give them an option. Look, you don't have to identify with this group or that group. Just be yourself. You're welcomed over here. Just be respectful. I don't care what color t-shirt you have on or your, ethnic extraction or heritage. If you're respectful, my platform is designed for honest, open discourse. Okay. But I cater this channel, I cater the message is going to be for mulattoes, clearly, because we are establishing our own. And if people don't like that, tough. And there's usually only one demographic that doesn't like that because they want you as a subordinate fighting their battles, like a Dr. Umar, right? So DC puts, when he made that black vagina comment, he reinforced the implication that white women biracials are not black, less black, like how they like to target us over our white moms. Yeah, you have to understand as well, because Dr. Umar, his audience is primarily black women, and black women, it's a matriarchy. And so they run the black community, where other races, other groups of men it's more so patriarchy in America with white men. Even though white women are the majority of America, white men still have most of the influence. And with the Latino community, like Mexican, we can use them for example. The men are the workers, the breadwinners, so they're basically calling the shots more so. Asian, we know the patriarchy is strong with Asian communities and Arabic communities, so we know that's a fact, right? But with the black community, it's kind of reversed. And you look at their outcomes and performance, it's not really it's not looking good compared measurable to other groups. That's why they need biracials, right? They need biracials to kind of help them boost them up in society, to use us so they can get proximity to their white massa. And yeah, very interesting. Yeah, with the whole white mom thing. And like I said, with Dr. Umar, you said His audience is primarily black women. The black community is controlled. And another thing I wanted to point out was also his the dynamic of his father and mother. You know, he doesn't have a good connection with his father, right? I don't know if his parents are divorced or whatnot, but you know, it's very public. I'm not going to spill the tea or any of that crap, go into his business with his father, but it's public now. His father made a couple videos talking about how him and his son are not in good they're not in good standing. And his son, excuse me, Dr. Umar's father is like lighter skinned than him. It's like a kind of brown skin, caramel brown. He has like green eyes. So he's got something going on there, some admixture. So I'm guessing that Dr. Umar for sure is more closely connected with his black mom, who's probably darker skinned, looking at Dr. Umar's complexion versus his father. So there is something there, this matriarchal kind of connection with Dr. Umar. And how the whole that he said black vagina, but that's just today because he's going to weaponize the one drop rule against mulattoes. Tomorrow he's going to switch it back to the the seedier father argument. That's what they always do. Now, so this guy here puts the best biracials are with black dad and white mom. What do you mean by best? Best according to who? To the blacks or what? They have such a fetish obsession over us trying to guess which parent is which. They ask us how we identify as like it's their business because they want to know what's the next step, the next strategy. They're going to ask you how you identify so they know exactly what's their next strategy to kind of manipulate you and to coerce you. What's their next move? That's why they're asking. It's very important. They want to know how you identify because then they're going to know how to deal with you. If you identify as black, they're going to be nicer to you. They're going to try to get closer to you, see how they can kind of manipulate the situation. Once they realize you don't identify with them, then they're going to get very defensive and argumentative and standoffish. They're like, oh, this is another enemy combatant. I'm going to have to fight this individual. He doesn't identify with me, you know? So that's why it's important to them. They want to know how you identify so they can know how to move forward to manipulate you. That's their strategy, right? That holy black vagina got effed by a white penis, LL. Surely Umar wouldn't condone her conception from her black queen mother's betrayal. You make a very valid point here. Like he still wants to claim that biracial woman who identifies as biracial, he wants to claim her as being quote unquote black, an African queen, a sister. He called her sister. But is he going to condemn that lady's mom, the mother, for laying down with the European? You know, see that type of racist, the Dr. Umar guy, it's just, yeah. Yeah, I don't see how he's going to win anything. All he's going to do is just win some dollars. He's grifting off these black people with low self-esteem. That's it. He's going to grift a couple more bucks so he can go to the strip club, just like Tariq Nasheed. But Tariq Nasheed's married to a whole biracial woman. And he already got his preference. So he's going to grift these low self-esteem blacks, get some more money and whatever. Because I'm like, what are they really trying to accomplish? Like, people can see the con game. It's because they you know, they move the goalposts, they switch the rules. It's the contradictions are really on fleek, like you put here. He's not gonna tell that the biracial woman's black mom about her sleeping with a white guy. You know, he's not gonna do a damn thing. You know it, and I knew it. I know it, right? The woman definitely doesn't have much skin color, and yeah, she's more so Euro dominant, if I can say that. At this rate, it feels like the non-binary community can get agency than the biracials when it comes down to the right of identity. Yeah. They definitely do because they're organized and they're. And the sad part is a lot of these biracials are LGBT. So kind of some of your more, I don't want to say influential because they're not influential, but some of the biracials who have a larger social media presence, have a larger backing. They're all rainbow people, LGBT. You got Sabrina Johnson, who runs the group Unapologetically Biracial on Facebook. She's got thousands of membership in her Facebook group. She's a lesbian, bisexual. So that's the thing. Their sexuality, it triumphs the whole biracial identity and all this stuff. No, their sexuality is on top. So you have a lot of mulattoes who have large I'm not going to name other names. You got on Instagram, TikTok, whatever. but it's their sexuality is they definitely have the right of identity, but they identify with their sexuality. So they're boosted within the algorithm. They're granted more numbers, and that's also because they basically open the floodgates. They let everybody in their damn group. That's why they use broad terms like, biracial and all this other stuff, because it's just going to let everybody in. As long as they're gay, then they let them into the group. So it's not even a biracial group. It's just LGBT. And you have women groups who do that too. You have women group, they have their little retreats for women, and it's just all lesbian shit. And they're pretending that it's for biracial people or dual heritage. They're pretending this is for dual heritage, this is for mixed people. It's just queer culture. I've been seeing this stuff over the past year, analyzing social media. And those are like I said, those are the groups, the spaces, the social media pages that literally have the larger numbers. It's because they're gay. Okay. So yeah. This guy, you say his name, I guess his name is a complete farce. Why not? Quote unquote, we are just beautiful human beings. Yeah. Yeah, he goes by multiple names and titles. I mentioned that before. Some of my mulatto octoroon ancestors owned slaves in Jamaica, and the matriarchs of those families were black women. So miss me with the came out of black vag BS. They are worse ones historically. Yep, Steph Curry, Isha Curry. Well, the thing is that Dr. Umar, he has an issue with a biracial man representing him in his image, because he's done multiple live streams, videos he's uploaded complaining about Steph Curry. I mentioned that on one of my recent live streams. I was like, look, this guy doesn't like Steph Curry or Klay Thompson. He always, because those guys are clearly mixed race. I mean, Klay Thompson looks more white than he does anything black, right? He has an issue with those individuals representing what it is to be black. But if it's a woman like Mariah Carey or the woman we saw, the producer of that podcast, he has no issue because he wants sexual access. And this is at this level of Dr. Umar on social media. This is every day. Everyday biracial men could tell you this is how it works. With even just the random pookie in the workplace or whatever school you go to, university. I've seen this at the university I attended, where the same black guy, like he likes the biracial woman, his preference, right? But then if he sees a guy like me or another biracial guy, all of a sudden, oh, you ain't black like me, they'll look at us like competition. This is real stuff. You guys know it's true. Not that many of you kind of call it out and put it on blast, but we see the strategy. And yeah. And the solution to avoid this foolishness is to make it publicly known that, look, me and you are different. We're not the same. I'm biracial. You're black. Okay, have a good day. Like, are you here to do business? Are we going to do business or what? Because I'm not a part of your group. You put here, they say we are fence riders, like we're going to collaborate with whites. We claim mulatto because we have a white parent. It's that simple. He needs to stop judging. Yeah. What's going on, Gary? Shout out to you. And then Val's in the house. Shout out to Val. I wonder why Umar spoke with serial race mixer Nick when he hates intermixing. I guess they're not much different making kids out of wedlock. Was that Nick Fuentes or something? I'm guessing. Yeah, Nick Fuentes is against race mixing, but even though he's like mixed himself, like Mexican and white, but yeah, right. I think Fuentes, I believe his dad is like Mexican or something, but yeah, interesting case. Yeah, the Nick Fuentes guy is interesting because a lot of people bring him on. I think Myron Gaines brought him on. The Fresh and Fit, and then Just Pearly Things. Even Obsidian, who's Black Manosphere. Nick Fuentes is probably listening to my shit right now. I don't listen to that guy. I've seen a couple of his clips on Twitter. Certain Twitter pages I follow, they might share some clips of Nick Fuentes because he's talking about a group of people that will get you canceled when you talk about them. But yeah, I noticed Nick Fuentes is listened to Obsidian, Ali, there's like Just Pearly Things, all the Black Manosphere shit. I think that guy's manager was like he managed Kanye West or something like that. So he's hanging out. He doesn't like race mixing, but he's all up in the black spaces and circles and, just whatever, man. Blacks, yeah. Most Africans who are light skinned are 100% African. The light complexion had nothing to do with European admixture in Africa. Is just a result of genetic mutations that occurred in the continent. Like Igbos, for instance, have a higher occurrence of red and yellow skin colors. You put sorry about that. I was nervous. Oh yeah, no worries. There's always an next time for sure. You put while addressing the colorism, he spewed at SETI. Remember that? He called him albino when clearly SETI it does not look albino at all. He's like what they call a light-skinned black. I don't know SETI's configuration, his parents, if he's biracial. Maybe he's one of these like MGMs, right? On the lighter side. But yeah, he was talking hella-ish on SETI, right? Calling him albino. Yeah, see, because he's a man. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, that's how they are. If a lighter-skinned man or a mixed man challenges a dark-skinned Bantu, the dark-skinned Bantu is really going to show you his jealousy and hate. Remember, the dark-skinned Bantus, they hate mulattoes more than they hate white men. They love white men. They love their white massa. All these alpha male blacks, these football players, all these rappers, they all got white managers, white executives, white coaches, all these dark-skinned blacks, alphas, quote unquote alphas. They love their white massa. It's when that, like I said, when that mulatto is in the situation, that's who they view as competition because they want them a lot of women. So yeah, so Dr. Umar was hating on SETI for his light skin, but if it was a light skinned woman, okay, a mixed woman, do you think Dr. Umar would have that energy? Oh no, he'd call her a queen, a sister, because he wants access to the box. So yeah, we've already examined these people. But Umar tried to excuse it, claiming he didn't grow up knowing light men. Yeah, he tried to act like naive. He tried to act naive, act stupid. No one's fooled by him. And there's other biracial people who did commentary on it. Nobody's fooled by Dr. Umar. He's fooling himself. The whole stupid Negro act is really old, okay? Question, do you think black women would rather get with the white man? Yeah, they rather get white men than mulattoes. I see them say, I don't like light-skinned black men, only chocolate, but would get with the white man. Yeah, no, that's how it is. Now, I've fucked a few black women. Okay, I hate to put it like that, but I've messed around with a few black women, and the ones that I messed with were like, yeah, I like you, and they showed me they like me. But overall, generally, looking at this, they don't prefer mulatto men. There's one woman I remember I asked her if you like biracial guys, and this was on YouTube. She's like an older black chick. She's attractive, but I just asked her, just whatever. Wasn't really shooting my shot. I was just enjoying the conversation. And she was like, oh no. She's like, oh, I dated a biracial guy before, but if I wanted to get like a biracial man, she's like, I'll just get a white man. That's literally how it is. And like you put here, where it's like, yeah, I've asked a woman publicly too, a black woman, why do you like this guy? Or what do you like that guy? She's like, oh, because he's chocolate, he's dark skinned, which I don't hate. If she's a dark skinned black woman, she wants a dark skinned black guy. I get it. That's the guy in her phenotype. That makes sense. But yeah, they don't like the biracial guy, but then they'll just run over and get a white guy. That's on them. I mean, you look at their numbers, like, and they birth the same men that they complain about. So when you see the black men do the same shit, they get a light-skinned woman or white woman just because she's white, just because she's light. Then they have bastard kids, broken marriages. And like you look at their behavior, you analyze them as a group. You're like, well, you guys get the results you get. Don't bring that dysfunction on me. Don't bring that confusion on me. Like, yeah, I'm mulatto. My preference is mulatto women. Okay. I've dealt with white women. Like I said, a lot of women I've dealt with have been Mexican women. I've dealt with black women. That's fine. But I think I'm kind of looking at this in a healthy lens. I don't know. If you tell me I'm not, let me know. I remember watching this video of a Hebrew Israelite black woman talking to a white woman, asking her if she worships the black man Jesus. And she was also telling the woman that she wasn't black and that the white woman isn't white because her white t-shirt didn't match the color of her skin, and that God is going to only take the black to heaven. No one's going to heaven besides the so-called Hebrew Israelite chosen people. It's just, yeah, it's just black supremacy, right? That Hebrew Israelite stuff. I remember he called out rappers for putting light in white women in videos. I thought black comes in all shades, right? Yeah. He can't make up his mind. Yeah. I came across a study of black children. Black children adopted by whites had a 13.5 points higher IQ versus they had adopted by black people. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of the black children who are adopted by whites tend to perform well. And as I'm not, I don't have any data to support that. I'm just generalizing. I know you put some data here, 13.5 points higher their IQ, but I'm looking like some of the people I see on social media, and if they grew up in a white household or they're adopted by whites, it's like you look at how they talk and how they communicate, just that alone, how they effectively communicate with people. It's like, yeah, I can tell their outcomes are going to be are a lot better than some others. He put here best as in temperament and even just looks and more feminine mulatto women with white moms. I tell them now I missed out on 13.5 IQ points because I was raised in the black community. I wasn't raised in a black community. And to me, it's just, there's some biracial hood booger, okay? I call him the golden princess. He acts like it's a flex to be struggling from the hood. And it's like, I don't want to be struggling from the hood. I don't want that for my children or any of my friends or people I care about. The whole idea is to get the hell out of the hood, improve your situation. But you got some people out here, misery loves company. It's like a badge of honor to them to be broke and struggling in the hood. I don't get it, man. I don't like that. That's only a flex with other people who are pookies or struggling in the hood. Nobody else in civilized society looks at that as being like a flex, right? Be struggling in the hood for your little street cred, right? These communities are strange, Val. Like I'm now seeing videos of white women only want to get with black men for their melanin and that the relationship's not based off love, but for the white race to keep their thriving because without melanin, the white race won't survive in the future. So they need the black man genes. Yeah, and that's a lot of twisted psychology that does exist. And there's a lot of white women who are basically committing a mutiny within the white race, who are getting with the black men to basically slap in the face of white men. Okay. And they're creating mixed kids. And a lot of these women, they don't, if they're not going to provide a stable environment, if they don't have a community, a network for these individuals, I've seen it traveling this country in some cases where I'm like, damn, that biracial kid's going to struggle. Like if he's got a white trash mom and no support system, the white woman's, because they're the majority, they're just rebelling against society. They're going to have a mixed kid to kind of mock all the white men who didn't want to choose them. Right. And I see that. I'm looking at the caliber of individual, this like white trash woman or mixed kid. I'm looking at the mixed kid like, damn, he's going to have some struggles because, the white kids, depending on his performance, if he can compete with them, it's going to be challenging. But the black kids are going to try to punk him. Yeah, but like you said, it's very selfish. I see that with some of these white women. And that what they're talking about, like with this whole, like they need melanin, and these white women are going to have kids who are not going to have melanin in a lot of cases. Like even for me, I'm light and bright. It's like we're not going to have melanin. So it's like, how does your kid feel about that when you push these kind of falsehoods and narratives about wanting? Yeah, it's very twisted and bizarre. That's like a lower caliber level of thinking. Like I said, these are these white women who are creating mutiny within their own ranks, rebelling against white men. And it's not doing anything good, to be honest with you. They're creating more problems, essentially. Race is politics. You guys are less than 3% of black population. Yeah. The funny thing is I like even in America, the Indians, the East Indians, the Hindus, they are, well, some of them are Muslim, right? Or sheiks, or I think that's the term they use, a ski or sheik. I apologize. But they're literally like 1% of the United States population, but they, within their demographic, their 1 percentile, they're literally like the highest earners some of the highest earners. They're heavily involved in tech, but also business ownership, a lot of taxi businesses, a lot of liquor store, convenience stores. The hotel industry, the hotel motel industry is literally dominated by the East Indians. So they have certain sectors and businesses that they dominate. Like I said, tech with support in these tech industries, they're literally like 1% of the population here, but their incomes are higher compared to other groups. So I'm not fixated on the percentage number. You have all these blacks, but they're all poor, like, and in prison, and they're having mixed kids, so they're diluting themselves. Not that smart. They're empowering us. So I'm looking at like the percentages. I'm not too fixated on it because it's what are you going to do with the percentages? I'd rather have quality over quantity with me personally. I rather have people who I don't want a bunch of numbers of people who are worthless. Essentially, I hate to put it like that, but I'm being very, broad and assertive. I want people who are dedicated, who are honest and good people. So I'll always go with the lower percentage numbers. Okay. As long as I have good quality people who are dedicated, who are focused on growth, other than having, 12% of the population and then like a large percentage of that is broke, you know, begging for reparations. I mean, you pick. Okay. Val, one time when I was in a car, I remember my dad getting upset just because one of my cousins didn't want to date a black man. He started saying things like Hispanic men only want her to. I think you continued on there with that. Dang, you guys showed up, huh? I wasn't expecting this type of outcome, but shout out to you guys. Black supremacy racism is a disgusting and as real as white supremacy racism, two sides of the same coin. Yeah, the thing is with the black supremacists, they mimic white supremacy. They mimic the same strategies and tactics. White supremacy literally developed the one drop rule to protect white purity. Okay. And they have all these categories, right? Mulatto, quadroon, octoroon. They have other categories as well. So they've established this level of purity to maintain the integrity of their group. They established the Racial Integrity Act in 1924. But the black supremacists, they mimic the same kind of edicts and codes. The black supremacists want to be white supremacists. They're power hungry. They want to have power. But no other race or ethnic group respects black people like that in this country. They like the culture, the urban hip hop street culture, but they don't respect black people because black people aren't producing anything except for entertainment. So black people know this instinctively. So the only group that they feel like they can have power over is the biracials. And they know biracials just want to belong, just want to hang out and get acceptance. So they try to punk biracials. They try to hoodwink biracials into thinking they're a part of their group, but then they'll just push them out and outgroup them whenever they see fit. So that's why they're fixated on biracials because nobody else takes them seriously, So they know that it's only biracials who will sympathize with them because a biracial has a black parent or whatever, or grew up around them. So they they weaponize the one drop rule to keep biracials psychologically as a subordinate serving for black acceptance. It's very sad and pitiful, but it's a real thing that we are talking about here. So yeah, I think I'm going to I got a bunch of comments from you guys. I appreciate your guys' comments, but just give me a quick second. And yeah, it's a quick second. Man, I appreciate you guys being here this late. I didn't expect the turnout or even the engagement, but appreciate you guys being here. Yeah, I just thought I was gonna just hop up here and just review these clips. I already got through one. Already an hour and 25 minutes into this. I got one more. It's a short one, but you guys are keeping me up in here, so appreciate that though. Shout out to Val says, I believe it. Recently online, I noticed they got upset if I mentioned I didn't date black men. Now, who would get upset? Black men, right? Black women wouldn't care because to them it's like less competition. But black men would be upset. It hurts their soul, right? I think that they're probably more hurt by a biracial woman not dating them than probably like a white woman or a Hispanic woman or something like that, right? They probably wouldn't press on the issue. but because you're mixed, see, they feel like they're owed, access to you. Like you belong to them. I've literally seen a comment from somebody, I think it's a black guy, who said something like, "Oh yeah, by you belong to the black race." Like, no, the fuck I don't. Like a lot of them literally think like that. That like we belong to them, that they owe us. And a lot of them act like it. You have a social media page, they'll just invade your space, bombard your space. It's funny because they'll accuse you of doing the same thing. Oh, you biracials, you're confused, you have identity issues. You guys go into black spaces and try to replace black people. And then you develop a page, and I'm like, what the hell are you people doing over here? You don't think I see the game? Fuck out of here. How and why is their pathology so fixated on women? And what can we do to stop this? I like my mulatto women. Yeah, everybody likes mulatto women. you know, it's competitive. These are the most beautiful women. Latino men, white men, black men, other mulatto men, other groups of men like the women as well. I mean, like I shared the video. There's a new movie coming out of The Crow, and it's this woman, FKA Twigs, I believe her name, kind of an unusual name. You look at her mulatto aesthetic, yeah, like every guy is gonna like her, right? Or yeah, Zendaya is okay, but I prefer Zoe Kravitz. So it's very competitive out here in the marketplace. It's very competitive. And another layer to this is that other mulatto women like mulatto women, if you get the drift. So there's a lot of competition. Okay. So now you have that factor in place where not only are you competing with men, okay, now there's other women who assert themselves into the discussion. They want to compete with you, right? For women. So the dynamics get really effed up. Okay. You just got to be better. That's it. Good people will find you. You put here swim queen, queens puts, or slime queens. They put to keep the white race going, and that they are using her melanin and genes for biracial babies. They're not going to be white babies though. They're going to be biracial, right? I'm only white when I'm in Africa. Like when I went to Ghana. When I'm in Ghana, if I go to Kenya, they'll say I'm Muzungu. They'll say you're white. If I go to Ghana, they'll say Brumi, white, right? And only in Africa, like the land of the blacks, right? When you're surrounded by all black people, then they're gonna say, "Oh, you're white." But yeah, if you have a white mom, black dad, you're biracial. You're not white or black. He was basically trying to fear monger my cousin into not dating other races of men because we, uh, black men, he put here, are so oppressed. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't get it. It's a challenge for us to get white men. It's not. So it's not special. Black women can get one in their lifetime, and they treat that white man like he's special. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you make a good point. I think it's all depends on the caliber of woman. If she's cultured, I feel like that's a big thing as well. If she's a ghetto hood booger, then she's basically going to be stuck with kind of lower caliber guys. She gets a white guy, it's going to be a white trash guy. Black guy, lower caliber black guy. But if it's a black woman who speaks English, who's eloquent, who's feminine, has good hygiene, I feel like her options are especially in America. She's born and raised in America. She has plenty of options, the way I see it. And those are the only women I deal with. I don't deal with ghetto hoodburgers. Have I dealt with a couple? Yeah, maybe. Just leave it at that. But that's not preferred. The reason why too is because the ghetto, the quality, that's like easier, right? But easier doesn't mean like it's necessarily good. It's just available. Val for real, and like it's kind of pathetic. Nick Cannon, yeah, Mariah Carey and Nick Cannon. I see a lot of people painting Nick Cannon as a bad guy. I've seen that a lot. That there's something dysfunctional. But like, wait, doesn't he have money? Doesn't he have a lot of connections? He seems like a very likable individual. I don't know Nick Cannon. I know he has like TV shows or podcasts. I don't follow any of the guy's social media, but I remember like 20 years ago when I was a kid, I remember seeing Nick Cannon on like Nickelodeon. He was on TV like way back when I was a kid. But so I don't know the man, but to me it seems like he's easy to get along with. He gets along with people. He has money. He's in show business. So yeah, he has a lot of baby mamas. Like we said, it's kind of part of the culture, but if he can, provide for the families. I know Mariah Carey's kids are well off because it's Mariah Carey. She's got money. Nick Cannon has money too. So, that's all on them. I haven't dated a white American man in several years. I went to the True Source, men from Europe. Yeah. This is my fiance is Russian and black men are still pretending they have a shot with me. That's funny. Everyone wants to tell mixed people who they are and yet gets angry and mixed people tell them who they are. Exactly. That's the game. That's the name of the game. Everyone wants to tell you, you the CDO father, you black. It doesn't matter what you say, what you put on the paper. The police gonna see you as black. The world gonna perceive you as black. No, the fuck they don't. You take your biracial behind, go to Africa, and let's see if these blacks think you're one of them. No, they're not. Yeah. Not even Africa. Go to these hoods, these ghetto ass hoods in these shithole areas in America. Let's see if these blacks for me as a man, see if these black men are gonna claim you as black. Oh, it's because you didn't act right. You didn't act like a ghetto savage from the hood. You don't listen to Nipsey Hussle. That's why I didn't like you. I don't give a fuck if you like me. Where you have money? Do you have businesses? Am I gonna get any opportunities from you? No. So what the fuck? Why do I need you to like me? Okay. No, yeah. So like they're gonna try to tell you, oh, the world's just gonna see you as black, right? But when I tell them, no, I've traveled around, I've been around, I've walked around, been places. No, I'm biracial, I identify as mulatto. The world sees me as mulatto, and then they get mad. They want to like argue with you. Yeah, it's very futile. So let's see what we got here. Look at how black men treat their own women like shit. Odds aren't good if you date a black man. MGMs especially should also gatekeep and not just let any person into their groups. The issue, I talked about this. I made a video. I don't know when I'm going to upload it. I just made a video today about that. And I just actually contacted a gentleman. He's in one of my private groups. He's an MGM cat. And I contacted him earlier today. I'm going to actually have a live stream with the guy talking about this stuff, the MGM thing, because that's the main issue I see with that is that they don't gatekeep. Like they'll let anybody use that term MGM to where it doesn't mean anything, right? It doesn't mean anything. Like they let anyone use that term. Like, what does it mean? There was another biracial guy, shout out to him, the Ant Report. He brought up the same kind of concerning issue where he was like, look, what's the difference between someone with admixture and someone who's MGM? I don't really see like people who are MGM gatekeeping what it is to be an MGM. So it's just there's a lot of confusion around that because you have monoracial infiltrators who are literally if they have a minimal admixture, let's say 20%, if that, they're going to say they're MGM. So like the MGMs don't really gatekeep what the definition is to have that label. That's the main issue I see there. It's on them to kind of gatekeep that if they want everyone else to respect it. Because there are people who use that title. I respect it. Like Diana, her name, I think Diana, the Femcell Slayer or something like that. She's black identified, which is fine. That's how she was raised. But she uses the term MGM. She identifies as that. I respect her because she's not pushing her, identity on everyone else. And she's been very transparent. And you look at her, it's like, yeah, you're an MGM. I know what it is. But some of these other people, it's like they'll let someone that's blacker than Wesley Snipes with like no admixture, just anyone minimal admixture. They're like, oh, this is MGM, really? Like that. But then they're black tomorrow. See that they're black, they're MGM, they're admixed. Like that isn't. It's all games at this point, man. Like mulatto is a real thing. You look at me like I don't have the black experience. I'm a mulatto guy. I have the biracial, the mulatto experience. This is me. I always found it disgusting that they made a big deal about my hair and skin color. I also don't date white men who date black women to avoid fetish types. So true, Val. Like my father has always tried to get me to date. Got a lot of comments. Appreciate you guys. Let's see what we got here. I'm gonna skip through some of these, get to that clip before I close it out. The way I see it, let me get this right here. The way I see it is, yes, some black men are attractive, but not enough to deal with the other things that come with them. Other races of men are attractive. It's an easy choice. Well, you have a fiance, so you're already good. Black, keep giving birth to men that are bums and don't want to marry or date them. It honestly, yeah, isn't that interesting that they have kids, and then the kids, if they're men, they grow up and they don't want to date black women. And I don't get it because it's like there's like I'm attracted to black women, and there's a lot of like very attractive black women. I just don't get it. To me, what I don't like is just the culture in this country, the African American culture, what it is seen as today. It's just not appealing. I don't like it. I don't want to lose and fail and be a proud victim, and that's what I see a lot when I deal with these people, like this proud victim shit, and I don't like it. I avoid it. You put that's because these black 304s don't want to date mulatto men. They would rather make one. It's funny. You make a funny comment here. Yeah. Yeah. They don't want to date mulatto men. They want to make one. Yeah. 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 That's interesting. That's a very valid point. And it's sad because a lot of the mulatto men that they create, they're like subordinates in black communities. Like they always adhere to black sensibilities. Even the guy like me, there's guys who don't like me. They have black moms. It's like, how the hell do you not like me? I don't give a shit about you. Like, I don't care about really a lot of people I don't care about. But I do care about a lot of people. But a lot of people I don't, if I can say that. But there's guys who like take me seriously as if like, dude, I wasn't conditioned. I wasn't raised to like serve this group, serve white people or serve blacks. I wasn't conditioned that way. I was conditioned to be a good American, be a good Samaritan, a good citizen. But I've found there's some people, I'm gonna say some, who they have black moms, and like they were conditioned by their mom to like serve blacks, like to adhere to black sensibilities, and from the black community, it's like, yeah, you know, but those same women don't like the mulatto men, but they want to create the men, but they like the white men. It's very bizarre and fucked up. Yeah, you make an interesting point there. I've heard that from Black Hebrew. He said I was going to hell for being half white. Yeah, you see how racist and that the Hebrew Israelite, the Moor, it's all just black supremacy. That's all that shit is, okay? Yeah, they have a lot of hate in their hearts. We need our counterparts. I hate them dating my women, but their women still support black Bantu men. Yeah, which there's a guy, I think you know who it is as well. He does a lot of interesting content. His content's kind of based off that dynamic. Um, so a lot of biracial women, they prove their loyalty to the black race by hating on biracial men, by hating on men of their phenotype. They That's their way to basically signal to black men, specifically to the black race, that they're a good biracial woman, that they're loyal to the black race. They have to hate on men who are similar to them. It's sad if some of these women, if they even have like biracial brothers, like their brothers or whatever, they have cousins or something, and they'll talk crap about the men, you know, their own family members, just to appease black men. The thing that's interesting about these women is overwhelmingly they end up being baby mamas by the same black men they're caping for. How sad and pathetic is that? Right? You're going to be a bastard baby maker, a baby mama, and you're throwing random men under the bus, like to appease another group of men who are going to potentially make you a baby mama. I mean, if you look at the statistics, so that's real. Yeah, you know the guy who I was referencing, he makes a lot of content off that. He talks, that's his thing, you know. he talks about, but it's interesting. I find his content to be kind of funny. I put a comment on one of his videos today too, laughing because I talked about how like the Jezebel spirit, right? Which is very real. I mean, if you look at the sample of like OnlyFans models and porn stars, okay, that are mulatto, it's just it's fucking crazy, man. It's crazy. Like there's a lot of these women who are in that type of work, that sex work, okay? And they can, for sure, what you say, monetize or capitalize off their looks because they're exotic, right? And yeah, where's I going with that? I don't know. More on that later. Let me continue on with this. No, that's only if their father is white. They say you're going to hell because, oh, the seed of your father. Yeah, the Hebrew Israelites push that seed of your father crap, right? These people can't be serious. They honestly make me laugh even more. The Hebrew Israelite you put here. Labels create division. We all the same little boat that's sinking. I'm not sinking anywhere. I'm not sinking anywhere. Val, if you was mulatto, but with a black father, Hebrew Israelites would say you're an Israelite. Yeah, right. Yeah, they do. They push that crap. The seed of your father, the Israelites. Yeah, that's their whole philosophy. Thomas a token though. Is Umar a token? How much is that token worth? Is a pro whack token, Dr. Umar? Wonder how much that's worth. Yeah, token for what? Like, how can you take that guy seriously? It's only the people with low self-esteem who need a confidence boost who are going to take him seriously. Yeah, when I was in like my early 20s, I was still maturing. I listened to Umar and I was like, oh, you make some good points. Okay, I can dig it. And I was more black identified then, a decade ago. But over time, you start to wise up. For me, the whole thing was I started seeing these racist blacks talk about half breed. They would reference biracial as half breed. So the name calling, that was enough for me to like, I got to get away from these people, you know, the name calling enough. Because if they start, they're dehumanizing you. If they're referencing you like with slurs and using different names to reference you, that right there should be your first clue to get the hell away from them. Right? Because the funny thing is, if you start calling them names, they're gonna whine and cry, right? I even know for me, I'm polished. Like this is social media. Trust me, you don't, if you really hear what I have to, you really know what I have to say about you, you know, wouldn't be on social media, but yeah. Val, these people can't be serious. They honestly make me laugh even more. The Hebrew Israelite you put here. We need our counterparts. I think I already read that one. He didn't know my dad was white, according to him, because I had a bloodline. Light skinned people are upper class in Jamaica. I think their president's like a lighter skinned guy in Jamaica. I think so. It looks like kind of like mixed presenting guy in Jamaica, one of their prime minister. Let me actually, I could probably do a quick search right now. Prime Minister of Jamaica. So we can uh, see what that's all about. Is it a mixed guy? It's Andrew. Yeah, he's definitely mixed. Jamaica, because I've met some Jamaicans who are super dark skin. Oh, they MGM. Oh, they got admixture. Oh, it's like what? What? We got to have some clear lines of distinction here. What is this guy's name? Prime Minister of Jamaica, Andrew Holness. Looks like he's mixed, right? Look at that. He's got the broad nose. That's like a central negroid feature. Look at that. How big his nose is. It's like takes up like half of his face, right? That's featureism. You're a featurist and a colorist. But they can talk shit about you being bald. No problem. They can talk shit about you having light skin. No problem. They can talk shit about you being short. No problem. But you talk about their dark skin, you talk about their nappy hair, you talk about their nose, you're a bad guy. You let see the same people who complain about colorism and featureism. Okay, the same people, they're gonna talk shit about a guy like me for being bald and light skinned and short. That's why I get a kick out of these people, man. These, proud victim types, communitaw types. And all this shit is public. Like we have all the documented evidence. It's hilarious. They want to be the aggressor, the predator, and the victim at the same time. You put here, light skinned people are in every class in Jamaica ever since slavery days. Some were slaves and some were free. America without diversity isn't America. Okay. 90% of Hebrew Israelites would say it's just the father, not the mom. I agree, Mulatto. I do agree on some of these. White women do want to the black man for the genes, but then the same time go against their counterpart, which creates bigger problems again. Yeah. Well, a lot of the white women are just being destructive. Like I said, creating mutiny essentially amongst their ranks. And they'll be neutralized anyways. It's not, the white men still run the shit. Okay. The military, business infrastructure, development, even the backbone as far as the infrastructure. Okay. So they're still basically running the ship. The white women are supposed to be support. A lot of them, think they're kind of going to alter things, teaming up with LGBT, but it's yeah. I don't see it having a big impact. And yeah, so it creates problems, but they want to be kind of I guess hip, if I can say that, hip. I got a black boyfriend and I got a biracial kid, and then of course a lot of times I see these women and the black guys like, where's he at? I remember I coached a basketball team in San Diego. This was youth basketball, YMCA. I coached the team there. The kids were like 10 or 11 years old, co-ed. And yeah, there was a biracial girl on the team. And she had a white mom, black dad, and they both showed up to practice. Remember, and I like seeing that. She's a nice girl. And but I don't feel like that's like the if I can say the majority of the cases, I can see that. I can say that. Usually what I'll see is like I'll see like a white mom, biracial kid, but I don't see the dad. So where's the dad at? I've seen it a few times for sure, but it's not. The percentages of the failed marriages with black men, white women is pretty high. I don't have the stats in front of me, but it's pretty high. Let's continue on and put cool. If hell won't have any AA in it, it should be nice in hell. Since their men rule most parts of the world, living in the AA community is hell. I'm not from the AA community. And when I moved to San Diego, I moved to an area. I had a roommate, black roommate, in the area, the neighborhood I lived in. There's more black people, and that's kind of when I got my wake up call too. Around that time, and I was doing more community work at that time too, volunteering and stuff, traveling while I was going to school and stuff like that. And I just realized, like, yeah, these people can't be like, you're not going to save their situation. It's basically done. Okay. And people who are far more sophisticated and smarter have already basically laid out the kind of groundwork, right? When you look at the immigration that's going on, it's like, yeah, the quote unquote native black population, whatever, they're going to have to fuse and merge with another group. Okay. If they want to stand alone, I mean, let's see how competitive they can be. But see, that's why they're desperately trying to latch on to biracials. They want us to like help them in a way. And I'm like, look, I just got to have my own shit because I'm not going to get punked by you people. I already see how you operate. I've already dealt with enough of you. I deal with you guys all every day on social media. Anyways, I have to block a lot of you. Like, look, you're not going to run up on me like that. Okay. Not me. I heard that light skinned people are mostly from uptown and that they are viewed as better of. You talking about this like Jamaican guy. It is Val. I had cried just being around some of my African American cousins, having to deal with their jealousy sometimes. So Celtic mulattoes from Jamaica, right? That's not true. In Jamaica, brown people, what African Americans call light complexion, are only 6% of population. I, as a brown man, was the only one in some classes. Damn, I got a lot of comments here. Just means from a good neighborhood and light skins. Okay, let's just see what we could do. Yeah, shit. You guys have flooded the comments, but I appreciate that. I'm gonna get to the next clip here. The Prince of Papa John's Pizza, but I'll go back to your guys' comments. You know what I'm saying? Get back to your guys' comments. I don't know if I can go through all of them because there's a whole lot. I'm looking at it like shit. I'll be here all night. But let me get into this commentary here from this clip, and let's keep it going. Let me see here. Dr. Umar Johnson talking interracial relationships. Now, this was from 8 years ago. This is an old clip, 8 years ago. But interracial relationships, which Dr. Umar Johnson's against, we know that, right? But he's going to talk about biracials, right? He loves to talk about biracials to weaponize us, right? To do his dirty work. And of course, he's in front of black men again. And I'm sitting there like, bro, why don't you just go focus on the black people, the black community? Like biracials, I'm not going to help you, bro. Like, and this was 8 years ago. So I met the guy 2016. So that was what, 8 years ago, right? So maybe he did this little podcast thing like right after I met him or before or whatever. But I'm sitting here like, yeah, they need us more than we need them. Okay. The only reason why I'm talking about this is because they're talking about us. Like whenever I talk about, you know, the communita and stuff like that, look, it's because they got us in their mouth and I'm observing it. I'm trying to let my audience see the time is now to establish something that's uniquely independent away from their influence, because you can clearly see they have an agenda to keep you as a subordinate underneath them. And there's a gender dynamic there with the black Bantu men. They want the women, the biracial women, but the black women don't necessarily want the biracial men, but they still want to weaponize the one drop rule if it benefits them politically, but they're more so in competition with their own men, and their men are preferring the biracial women. So let's get into this clip right here. Let me know if you guys disagree or you agree. Put a comment down. If you guys like the content, hit the like button. Let's get it cracking.
Interracial marriages. No, sir. Explain this one. Sure. I would start out by reiterating what I said earlier. My position on any issue is what benefit does it bring to the black community? Okay, black women in their situation, lowest marriage rates in the country. What good is it for black men to be marrying non-African women?
He said lowest marriage rates in the country. Lowest marriage rates in the country. Yeah, why don't black men marry black women? I don't know. I think with all groups, it's like the marriage thing. I think most men want to get married. I know I do. I'm not looking to do it anytime soon. I have to travel more and build myself up more for sure. I can say that. But I'm not like trying to get married right now. And but most men want to get married. Like that's the thing. So I don't know, black men, I'm pretty sure most of them want to get married if they're decent and civilized, but I think a lot of the women are choosing guys who don't want to get married, right? I think there's the question, since I'm a guy, I'm going to say it. My perspective, we have to be honest that there's a lot of people, a lot of women who just want a kid. They don't even want to be married themselves. I feel like there's a lot of men who want to be married, but there's a lot of women who don't. So there's a lot of women who just want to kind of trick a guy, hoodwink a guy, and they want like a kid. They want a bastard kid, and like they want the whole parenting experience being a mom, but they don't want to be tied to a man, because in this society in America where there's a lot of that going on, where you have single mothers who are getting praise and, you know, struggling single mom, and they feel like they have freedom, they have benefits, they can still be a mom, have a child, they can have ownership over an individual, you know. But they don't have to have, there's no man that kind of quote unquote owns them. They're not tied to a man. So we have to be honest and realistic about that dynamic is at play, where there's a lot of this kind of independent woman situation where it's like they want to have ownership over the child, but they don't want a man. They don't want to feel like they're obligated to a man. that's a whole nother discussion. Okay, I'm talking about the biracial stuff here, so let me continue on. Fair use.
Without sisters being dead last for marriage. You see, so that's it. It doesn't have anything to do with hatred for white women or any other women. It's about love for self. Not only that, we got to look at the economic aspect of this marriage.
I hope the audio is high enough for you, but it seems like the guy who recorded this, like behind the scenes footage, is like on his phone. I have the volume all the way up, but just me like playing it, it seems like the volume's super low. So I hope it's good enough for you guys. But I'm pausing it because what Dr. Umar just said was a bold-faced lie. He said, "Oh, it's nothing against white women or white people. We know that's a lie." Remember, I shared the last live stream I did where he's calling them cave dwellers, snow bunnies, Neanderthals, all this racist white language. Okay, so we know the guy's a racist, right? But only black people are supporting him. Well, yeah, a lot of blacks are racist. That's kind of what my channel does. That I expose a lot of racists, and a lot of people don't like me doing that. But hey, you got to change your. And they could do the same to me. They already do. A lot of people don't like me. Well, you're basically one of a lot of others. So what? It's part of life. Can't make everyone like you. Fuck that. I mean, they try to position biracials to try to get everyone to like them and shit, especially blacks. I'm like, look, there's a lot of people out here they're not gonna like you, man. They don't even like you for existing. They look at you as a quote unquote abomination, where they've literally established laws to prevent you from being birthed. So what the hell are you gonna do? And I thought about this the other day. I was like, man, people are just not even gonna like you for existing. So you walk into the room, they're competitive, especially a guy like me. Like I walk into the gym and I'm, competitive and I perform well and in the athletics and stuff like that. It's like people look at you as competition, man. Like I'm not gonna make these people try to like me. Fuck that. You're gonna have to deal with me if we're in a situation. I'll tell you what, if it's just me and you somewhere and it's gonna be mano y mano and who's gonna come out on top, shit. I mean, I'm pretty confident in my odds as a man, be honest with you. Continuing on for use.
Marriage is a business. Yeah. And women live longer than men, black women and white women. So naturally, if you marry a white woman, you're going to leave this earth before she does. She inherits your wealth. She inherits your estate. She's not going to use any of that money to help benefit black folks. So what you're doing is you're taking away from people who ain't got enough. And you give
That argument's used a lot, right? You're marrying into the white community. What's sad about that, when Kobe Bryant, rest in peace, when he passed away, I know I referenced him earlier because he has biracial kids, and this is connected here. So when Kobe Bryant, right, rest in peace, when he passed away, I think it was like the beginning of 2020. I remember seeing like on Twitter, it's X now, but it was Twitter then. I saw some like social media or Twitter post where you had these pro blacks who were talking ish about Kobe Bryant. They were trying to act like, oh, well, he's married to a Mexican, he's married to a Latina, so none of his wealth is going to go to the black community. They're talking about, oh, the millions of dollars, he's leaving all that to the Latin community. That's how disgusting a lot of these people are. Like that's how hateful they are. They break down the man, the individual, the family, the legacy to dollar signs. Oh, you didn't marry a black woman, so all your money is going to go to that community. And I'm sitting here like in a time of mourning to celebrate Kobe Bryant. He passed away with his daughter in the helicopter, and the other family was there too. And it's like, yeah, people who are literally talking. Like, there were some black women cheering on the fact that Kobe Bryant passed away because he didn't marry a black woman. That's how evil a lot of these people are. But yet they want to look to you as a biracial and act like they're all righteous. A lot of these biracials are fucking punks. If they're black identified, man, I'm telling you, they're fucking marks. They serve these people who will spit in their face. And I saw that, like, they're hating on Kobe Bryant. Like a lot of people, like the black women were cheering on because he didn't marry a black woman. He married a Latina woman. So, they were happy that he, you know, um, unfortunately met his demise. But then there were black men I saw, the pro wax on Twitter, who were basically like, oh, he didn't marry a black woman, all that money. And I'm sitting there like, this is fucked up, man. A lot of these people are fucked. You can't help these people. This is how they think about human beings out here, all about dollars. Continue on, fair use.
The people already took enough from us. You see, so from the financial standpoint, I would see a benefit from it. And then with the children, so you have biracial children who I'm going to accept as African. You know, it's Pan-African. You know, if a child has an African.
He says, "Oh, the biracial children." Let me put the captions on. I apologize, guys, because I can even tell like the audio is pretty low here. He's saying that a lot of them have biracial children. He's like, "Oh, I'm a Pan-Africanist. I accept them as African." Yeah, bullshit.
And then with the children, so you have biracial children who I'm going to accept as African. You know, it's Pan.
So it's funny. It's a contradiction. There's an irony there because he says, "Oh yeah, biracial children who I'm going to accept is African." But why are you calling them biracial children then? Why don't you just call them African children? Because the African gene is dominant. Wouldn't you just say they're just African children? Oh no, but you said they're biracial children. Yeah, you're going to accept them because you're a psychologist, you're a black supremacist. So you understand, you know, mental psychological warfare. You want to hoodwink and trick the biracials to be on your team so you can use them as crash test dummies, just like your dark-skinned brother, Kwame Brown. Not like biological brother, but the African brother. You know, the same thinking pattern where you want to use these biracials as crash test dummies for the pro-whack agenda, which is basically just white acceptance at the end of the day. Okay. And since you're half white, you're always going to have that more than them. So they're competing with you for masses approval. And but the contradiction there, right? Where they're sitting there saying, "Oh, I'm going to accept you as an African," but that's you. Like, well, you're not. That's just you. You don't have the influence out here, Umar. I mean, I don't just because you have a large social media following. He's got like several 100,000 YouTube subscribers. I don't know his social media account on Instagram. Probably what, a couple 100,000. So he's got hundreds of thousands of people, mostly blacks, who follow him. But the same people who follow you, they're not really the people making decisions in society. These are the people who are basically subordinate class. Most of these people, 90+%, are working for other races of people, working at Walmart, working at the federal government. We know African Americans heavily represented as government employees, whether it's TSA, any other type of public service, okay, transportation all over the country. So education. So we know a lot of African Americans work in the public sector for the government, state government, federal government. So the people who are his audience, his followers, they all mostly work for another race of people. So it's like, you don't have any influence out in this society. I'm looking at this as a biracial guy. I'm like, you don't have any influence like that. So yeah, you'll accept the biracials because you can use them to be crash test dummies. But the rank and file Negro in the hood, what do they think? Right? We already know the gender dynamic. The black men, the black males, the Bantus, dark skin, they want the biracial women. They want their preference, the light skin, right? And but they don't like the biracial men. They look at them as competition for the lighter skinned women. So yeah, you'll accept the biracial men. It doesn't mean this guy standing next to you will, or the other guys. And what do they always tell you? Oh, it's because you didn't act right. You didn't act like you from the hood. No, it's because your monkey ass was jealous. That's it. You're getting called out for it now. It's because you were jealous. Nobody has to act right around you people, okay? You notice the white man doesn't have to act right around them. You notice the Asian doesn't have to act right around them. You know, they always play that game like, oh, it's because you probably got picked on. You weren't from the hood. No, I'm not from the fucking hood. Your white massa is not from the hood either. They talk about that acting, because you acted weird or you acted a certain way. I love hearing that from these people. It's magnificent. It's like you guys act like way out of pocket more than anyone else. Like, look, the music, the debauchery and depravity within hip hop music, just the promotion of criminality and violence towards your own, I might add. Like, you just take that as a sample, the culture, the music, the hip hop. It's like, bro, like, Give me a break as far as this acting. If I act like a degenerate thug, a savage, okay, listening to Nipsey Hussle or DaBaby or whatever rapper, yeah, then I'd be down with the hood. I'd be cool. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I'd be a pro whack. That's fine. But no, I'm not someone like me with a college, a university level bachelor's degree, passport, travels, no, fair use.
An African is, if a child has an African mother, father, they us.
That's what
Because
they
when
are,
it comes
right.
to genetic crossover, there's no 50.
And as far as society sees it, they see you as black. You're not. If you're light skinned, you're black. They don't. They don't see you.
So, like I said, these are all one droppers here, right? And like I said, they always try to generally speak as far as how society sees it. You still black. What society, dude? You got your little red cups here. You drank in your little drank you drank. And the dude with like a red stripe or pink stripe in his hair. Like, I don't trust you, Negroes. None of you guys here. I don't trust none of you people here. Oh, as far as society's gonna no. I don't know you people. You don't speak for me. That's precisely why I hopped my ass up here to talk about this. Like, you guys don't speak for me. We ain't the same, homie. I'm gonna publicly say that. A lot of these other biracials are gonna be punks, gonna be fucking marks, sitting out here getting punked. That's on them. Me, I'm not doing that. No, the society sees us as biracial, and we are treated as such. And especially a lot of these blacks, the Bantus, the black men, they're going to treat us as we're biracial, meaning they're going to try to basically position us to be subordinates, to try to punk us, and to basically tarnish our sexual marketplace value. Because they want the women, they want the biracial women. So they have to dirty mac us, they have to push us down and humble us and essentially try to cuck us so they can get access to their preference. And because of the actions of these dark-skinned Bantus, okay, it's very influential as far as other groups see that. Now Hispanics are seeing that, like, I can talk shit on the biracial because that biracial, the blacks don't have his back. I experienced this in the workplace. I'm going to do a video talking about this as well. Now you got the Mexicans teaming up with the blacks, talking shit on us. And you have the whites, you for a long time, you have these whites, especially if they're lower class, trash. They're going to team up with some of these blacks talking shit on us because they're looking at us as competition because our numbers are growing and our prominence in society. I told you guys, you got a vice president, Kamala Harris. You got 2 Supreme Court justices on the bench. Ketanji Jackson, black woman. She has a mulatto child. Clarence Thompson, black man, has a mulatto child. You had Barack Obama, the president, mulatto. Eric Holder, vice president, multiracial. The Super Bowl winner 2 times, Patrick Mahomes, all over social media, all over the motion picture industry, all these mulattoes all over the place. Our numbers are rising. And these groups, they see us as a threat. Unfortunately, a lot of you mulattoes are fucking punks. You want to be subordinates and you don't stand up for yourself. So I have to hop my ass up here and speak to you guys to give you guys some clarity, hopefully some confidence, and also just ask some questions and advocate for yourself. Be a self advocate. I know you're not going to like my delivery because I'm mean, even though people are mean to you and you just take it like a punk. But when I get up here and I say a couple little spicy words, I'm mean, whatever. Get used to it. But yeah, this whole idea where they try to hoodwink you, these 2 Bantus, where they try to tell you, oh, the society's going to see you as black. No, the hell they don't. If I'm in a room with both these people and there's some light-skinned women or whatever, these 2 blacks are going to basically try to like outgroup me and tell me, oh, you're biracial. You're not black like me. You're not a real black man. You're not from the... See what I'm saying? Like, they try to lie. Like, who are these people fooling? It's you people who are looking at the mulattoes as you don't see them as black. We know it. We know how you people play. You got bastard kids and baby mamas all over the place. We know how you people roll, homie. No.
I've never seen him. My son is light skinned, but I've never seen
His son's light skinned. Yeah. Surprise.
any light skinned kids called white kids.
No,
They're always called.
All because they're not called white doesn't mean they're black by default. Black gene is not dominant. Maybe there's not maybe they are something else. Yeah, they're not black, they're not white. Yeah, they're mulatto. If they're European African. If they're mestizo, Mexican, and there's something else. I don't know. They're a Blaxican or they're Blasian or etc. Like you guys understand. Mulatto, I just speak that's European African, okay? So yeah, I'm looking at these individuals and I see them all over the place. Like I said, and I travel this country and I'm like, yeah, you're not white. Clearly you have pale skin, but you have curly kind of hair and some like kind of negroid features or whatnot. But I'm like, well, you're just because you're not considered white, that doesn't mean you're black. But that's what a lot of these one droppers will try to do. They'll try to say, oh, the whites don't even claim you. They don't see you as being white. I don't give a shit. I never said I was all white like that. Doesn't mean I'm fucking black. And I don't claim you either. I'm mulatto. There's a lot of people out here just like me. That's why I'm very confident, cocky, and bold and assertive in what I'm saying, because I realize this now. And I travel this nation and I go to Europe and other countries and I'm looking at it like, look, we're already here. The numbers already here. There's a lot of people out here. And I have all of you guys in the chat and that comment on my videos, etc. Like we're already here. We just got to find and connect with each other and continue to build off that. I'm just one guy. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. A lot of people aren't going to like me. Good. Okay. Fair use.
Or black kids. If you got black in you, you black.
Because the African gene is dominant.
Yeah,
It's dominant. So when an African
The African gene is not dominant. We can take all these examples, Mariah Carey, Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, the African gene is not dominant. We already went through this before, but I just had to say that again because, he's a black supremacist, so he pushes all that.
gene meets with anybody else's gene, because we're the mother and fathers of everyone else, that crossover is going to make that child.
So the funny thing is about this kind of ownership, they try to boost themselves up by saying this, we're the mothers and fathers of everybody else. Well, what the hell happened? What happened to where now you're a proud victim crying and complaining about everybody else when you are their mothers and fathers? You guys see the irony, the twisted psychology and thinking here? Because they tell themselves this to boost up their ego, to try to make up for the fact that they're underperforming and their culture is not at the same level as everybody else. They try to boost their ego, saying they come from us. Latinos come from us. We're the mothers and fathers of all the other races. The original man is black and all this stuff. Well, I'm like, well, look at you now. You're complaining about all these other races, about being oppressed. Oh, the Latinos are racist. Oh, the Asians have anti-black racism. The whites they complain about all these other groups. But at the same time, they want to act like they have ownership or that they all come from us. That is a weird, twisted psychology. Do you guys not see the kind of contradiction there? Like, how does that make you feel good? Pretending that you're like the parent race and all these groups came from you. So you're crying about your children? What type of loser shit is that? How are you complaining about your children since you're the parents? You're saying that all these other races came from you, but now they're all outperforming you and they're enslaving you and basically punking you and, reducing you to an entertainment group here in the society. So they're complaining about their children. What type of pathetic shit? See, any other situation, even at the micro level, we analyze this. If it's like, say you see a shitty group of parents. And a shitty group of parents, maybe they were abusive, they were bad to their kids, but their kid got out of that crappy household. They went to college. They started a business. Their business blew up and got successful. They started making millions of dollars. They can employ people. They moved the hell out the hood. They had an international operation. They have different franchises in other countries, other businesses. They became multimillionaires. And they don't give their will, and they don't give a penny, a cent to their parents. They're like, fuck that. They disown their parents. Like, my parents were crappy. They were shit. Who do you think looks better? The kid who made it out of an abusive household from an abusive family, who became successful, who triumphed over that, became successful. You're going to look at the parents like they're pieces of crap. I'm using that analogy with these type of Afrocentric black supremacists, these black nationalists who have this twisted thinking that, oh, we're the mothers and fathers, the parents of all these other races. They come from us. But I'm like, look at you now. This is what matters. We look at it now in real time. Like you're crying about everybody being racist, everybody being anti-black. You're crying. It's like this is so pitiful, and pathetic. Continuing on for use.
Regardless of the skin tone,
Mhm.
their genetic makeup is going to be 99% African.
Mhm.
So there really is no such thing as a biracial child. It's just like
Mhm. Talk about
chocolate milk.
There is such a thing as a biracial child. And of course, like I said, he's a black nationalist, one dropper. It's funny because it's a contradiction because he'll reference you see the contradiction where he said there's no such thing as a biracial child, but initially he'll call the child biracial earlier, and he said something here about, oh, the biracial child.
See a benefit from it. And then with the children.
Yeah.
So you have biracial children.
You guys heard that? And then with the children, and so then you have biracial children. So this is a contradiction. This is supposedly a doctor. I don't know. His white massa gave him the doctorate. So the contradiction with these Afrocentric black nationalists are really out of this world. And let's be honest, the white people, okay, the white nationalists, they just laugh at these people. They don't even take the time. No other race of people takes them seriously. Look, I'm just analyzing this because they're talking about biracials and they're trying to weaponize us to do their bidding. And I'm saying no. I'm pushing for autonomy, sovereignty for mulattoes in America, period. So any of this type of rhetoric, I'm going to analyze it and observe it. But you see this right here on the screen where he says to children, so you have biracial children. So he acknowledges that the children are biracial, but he contradicts his own words. Later on, he says, oh, there's no such thing as biracial, but you just called them biracial. Who is the confused one here?
Milk. You don't get
Always,
half
no
chocolate,
matter what.
half
Talk about
chocolate milk and white. Regardless of the skin tone,
Mhm.
their genetic makeup is going to be 99% African.
Mhm.
So there really is no such thing as a biracial child. It's just
You guys hear that? So like a minute later, he's started off by saying a biracial child, but then he goes and he continues on. He says, oh, so there's really no such thing as a biracial child. So the Pan-African contradiction is on fleek. So who's really the confused one? It's this Bantu, this Afrocentric Bantu, Dr. Umar. This is the confused one. He identifies you as being biracial, but then he turns around and says, oh, there's no such thing as a biracial. They're weaponizing the one drop rule against you so you can be positioned to be their subordinate. Does this make sense, guys? Am I, speaking clearly enough for you guys to understand?
like
Mhm. Talk about
chocolate milk and white milk.
Yeah.
You mix the two, you get more chocolate milk. You don't get
Always,
half
no
chocolate.
matter what.
half
Yeah,
white. Right.
yeah.
So it's us. There's no 50-50 child. Nobody's half black and half white. Nobody.
Yeah.
You're
According to him, nobody's half black or half white. It's funny, this was 8 years ago. So, people evolve and people change. Like I said, I met this guy, Dr. Umar, about this time when he did this video. 8 years ago, I met Dr. Umar in Long Beach. So I give it that, yeah, people change their perspective. They go through the world. Dr. Umar today is going to be forced to acknowledge mulattoes and biracial people. I'm just one guy, but I'm just one of many. Like that woman, I just shared that clip with that woman who says she has a white father, black mother. She identifies as biracial. Dr. Umar is going to be forced to understand that these people are out here and they're not going to budge. Okay. All that black pride bullshit and Afrocentric foolishness that these mulattoes coming forward, they're not going to budge because they've already seen the con. He's played the con game long enough. It might, like I said, it probably worked on a guy like me or some other people when we're younger, immature, in our, early 20s. It's probably worked for a year or two. I listened to Umar for about a year or two. It worked for about a year. After a while, you start to wake up and you analyze this guy. You're like, this guy's full of shit. You're not going to, these people are not going to be loyal supporters forever. Okay. They're eventually going to wake up and smell the coffee and realize, yeah, there's too many holes in this logic.
nearly all black
Mhm.
because of the genetic crossover. There's no 50-50 split. A recessive gene cannot hold its weight against the dominant gene.
Bottom line.
You see, the dominant gene takes it over.
So this is the black supremacy, the dominant gene. But see, it's the identity. It doesn't matter if they're more dominant, their African features are dominant. If they don't identify with you people, then you lost. That's why he's fixated on the whole identity component psychologically. It doesn't matter what the hell they look like. If they're dominant African features, they can easily flush that away within one generation. Look at a guy like Patrick Mahomes. We used him as an example. He's biracial. And it's like, he's not even African dominant. This whole recessive and dominant. The white gene is very strong within his bloodline. That's why he's probably the quarterback, the Super Bowl champion. It's that European gene, baby. I mean, I know his father was an athlete. His father played for the MLB, Major League Baseball. So he has like an athletic background. But Patrick Mahomes doesn't, like, he looks pretty split even, quintessential mulatto. And his children, his two daughters, look white. So they are white, basically. So the black gene is not dominant. Okay, Umar, this flawed logic you're pushing, only the Afrocentrics, uphold that stuff. Okay.
But even though they're genetically and biologically and ancestrally African, a lot of biracial children end up with issues.
Yeah.
You see, I know because I do therapy with them. You understand? They always feel that they don't quite fit.
Yeah.
Especially when you talk.
Yeah, we don't look the same, bro. Like, we're not the same individuals, and the society's not going to treat us the same. Like, I've known this when I with Mexican people. Like, you guys are a different race than me. They're gonna look at you. They're gonna treat you. You're different than me. I've had these people my whole life, whether they're white or Mexican or whatever, be like, "Oh, you're different. You're not like them. You're half white. See, culturally, even identity, how you act, you're different. You're not like them." That's just been my personal example. An environment is critically important of that. But I'm like, yeah, but then I get around you people and I see how jealous you are. And over the years, it made me wake up and realize, oh shit, these are not my people. Like, because when your people are not supposed to make you feel threatened, right? That's what I critically had to understand. I wasn't raised in a kind of abusive situation, abusive household. So I understand what real love is and real caring and like safety, security. But as an adult, when I got around a lot of these people, I realized how mentally, psychologically, effed up they were. Where it's like, how like I said, I'm gonna repeat it. If I'm your people, you don't make your people feel unwanted, unwelcomed, and you don't threaten, quote unquote, your people. Okay. That whole community essence is really lacking with a lot of you guys. Now, there are some good people for sure there. I've connected with a lot of them over the years. And these are the older people. I got to make that clear right now that there is a generational nuance involved here, because we already know, like, with the older generations of like the mulattoes, because they didn't really have an option for checking mulatto, for clicking up with other mulattoes. So they were forced into the black box, unfortunately. And there's a lot of government policies and public edicts and social kind of influences that position mulattoes to just be black identified. They had no other option. But it's different today. We have the mulatto option, and so there's that. And also, I think black people were more welcoming and more accepting of mulattoes, of that. When I talked to Jay for conversations about that when I first met the man, like almost a couple years ago. And I talked to him. I was like, look, in his generation, say it was like the 70s, 80s, whatever, 90s, like, yeah, the blacks were more accepting for the biracials then. Okay, that was like 20 plus years ago. It's a lot different today. So I see that today with my generation. I'm a millennial, and even the younger generation. Like, these blacks are outgrouping these mulattoes, letting them know that they're not the same. Okay. And so there is some generational nuance there. Let me continue on. I think I'm done here with this one.
About black and white there, because you're talking about the two most politically polarized groups.
Yes.
How am I going to work this out? White folks have done all this to black folks. Black folks can't stand white folks for what they've been through, and I'm half of each. It's a very difficult world to navigate. The white families will never accept you.
Which is bullshit. See, that's what they tell themselves. Now, he says it's a very difficult world to navigate. My whole thing is for the mulattoes, create your own solution, create your own space where you can be amongst people who are similar, who had similar experiences, and can sympathize with each other. Now, like I told you, this is a black supremacist tactic, a strategy they use where they say, well, your white family will never accept you. Bullshit, bold-faced lie. Okay, I have a white mom. very close to my white mom. She accepts me. Okay. She's always accepted me. I'm 30 plus years old. My white mom's always accepted me. It hasn't always been perfect. It's part of family, it's part of life. But today, 2024, I can say my white mom accepts me. Good relationship. Okay. And also, I look at my sister. Okay. My sister, I've mentioned this before, most of her clientele, her consumer base is all white women, white people. So she's basically, her lifestyle is funded by white people, a white community. So don't let these black racists try to trick you and lie to you and to say that your own white family doesn't accept you. Like, well, what the hell? What type of family are we talking about? There's got to be an environmental factor and a class distinction here too. Because I already referenced earlier before where you have some of these lower class white women who are mad that white men never selected them or choose them. So they want to kind of slap white men in the face so they get a black guy and have a kid by the black guy. And they'll pretend that, oh, to keep the melanin for the genes and all this crap. But what they're doing is they're just creating a mutiny within the white group because these are white trash women who are just upset that high caliber white men didn't want them. Okay. So which, it's a free country. Women have a lot of influence in this country. They have free will to get with who they want, have their kids, whatever. They have bastard kids. I mean, you're going to create problems. And, but yeah, don't let these black racists fool you. I hate when they do this crap, but this is what they always do. It's irritating, honestly, where, oh, your white family, they will never accept you. Really? I talked to these biracials where their black family never accepted them. I got one in the chat. It's like, this is very common stories, but see, they're never going to talk about that. These Afrocentrics like Umar, they're never going to talk about that when the blacks don't accept you. Then they're going to try to position it as if it's your fault. You didn't act right. You acted funny style.
And I've heard this by so many biracials.
Yeah. That's it for that. Let me get to some of your comments. You guys have been lit in the chat. But we're already 2 hours, 26 minutes. I'll be up here for a few more minutes. Let me try to get through these, and then I'm going to kind of close things out. Damn, we're overboard here. What America calls light skin, Jamaica, and Caribbean, we say brown. It's always phenotype. Yeah, the red man, right? Isn't that red man? That's like Jamaican kind of colloquialism. The red man, red man. It's like the skin complexion, right? Because that's a dude, the what's his name? Toenail Breaker. He was talking about that a while ago when he was on one of my streams about how they referred to him as a red man. Well, he's a mulatto guy, but me too, Val. I'm sorry it happened to you and your family. It's really hard being around the black community in general. They've given me the most hell, to be honest. Yeah, I'm not from the black community, man. Like I said, I'm an outside observer. But I've been around them as an adult, and I just realized that these are not my people. Okay, is that acceptable for me to say that? I'm half black. But see, it's acceptable for these biracials to say that white people are not their people, even though they got a white mom or a white dad and they're raised by white people, they're teachers, it's acceptable. Black people will find it, not white people, but black people will find it acceptable for a half white biracial to say, oh, the society, they're going to see me as being, non-white. They're not my people. But I'm like, that's your mom. Your mom's white or your dad's white. And it's like, you got white friends and you're white. How do they feel? Okay. But just this idea where there's weaponizing the one drop rule just because the whites feel a certain way by default, we're stuck with the blacks. Nah, fuck that. I tell these mulattoes, create your own situation. Because they want to use that one drop rule by default to boost their numbers in society in America, to boost their influence, because they got to compete with these other groups, these Latinos, these East Asians, the Chinese. They got to compete with all these other groups. So they wanted you, the mulatto, to be their subordinate class to help them compete. Fuck that. These people need to pay me. Just like we saw with that biracial woman in the first clip, where she was the producer for those dark-skinned Bantus. Yeah, she's getting paid. Good for her. She identifies as biracial. She got a white dad. Good for her. Get money. Get paid from them. Fuck. You do deserve so much better. Go ahead. What's the relationship between mulattoes and coolies in Jamaica? I don't know. I've never been to Jamaica, but I think Celtic mulatto is from Jamaica. Phenotype is distinction between mixed and brown people and pure to relative pure Negroes. I love your taste in music. I think black women like me more when I say I don't date black men. Black men are the only ones who get mad about it. Yeah, because they want ownership, they want access to you because you're the preference. Yeah, you're the preference. You're mulatto, you're the preference for black men. It's all public knowledge, It's not just me spouting stuff out here. A lot of Jamaicans don't fall in the brown category. Many fall in the red or black category. Brown people are in a minority. 2024 Jamaica. Most days I feel like crying, just forcing myself around to be around them during family events, knowing they don't like me much or they try to pedestalize me, which makes me feel even more weird. You put here, mulattoes must be very aggressive to forcing mulattoes to date them and shame them if they want to be an independent group. It's like a fetish. You put here, only because most brown people in Jamaica had a child with a black, darker skin. People in Jamaica, even in slavery times. That's why the majority of the population got darker, but still, yeah. You put here, mixed race brown girls in Jamaica are called browning. The phenotype is racially ambiguous and looks more like Puerto Rican, Dominican Republic, or Spanish or Asian in phenotype. That's also in Latin America. Damn. You put, what's your thoughts on MGMs, mulatto vanguard, and light-skinned black people who are not treated well within the black community and feel like they need to get away from it? Yeah, so the identity component is very big with me. I'm going to respect people's differences. And obviously, what I first saw, I heard of a space, it was called the Golden Sphere. What they tried to do was lump in everybody in one space, and it didn't work out. They tried to bring in biracials, and then they because I was started by light-skinned black people, or they're MGMs, whatever, but they looked at themselves as just being black or light skinned. And they tried to bring in biracials there or influence them to join their kind of group, so to speak. And it didn't work out. Now, some people will blame me, say because I'm the guy who came in here was like, look, I'm just being specific. I'm cool with everybody, but I'm speaking about biracial specifically. Okay, if you're a mixed person and both your parents are mulattoes or both your parents are biracial, like a Zoe Kravitz situation, then yeah, I mean, I identify with you. We're the same. But the identity component's big. If they identify with us, that's critically important. But what I've noticed with light-skinned black people specifically is they are subordinates within the black race because in America, most of the blacks are darker skin. So a lot of these light skins, they have to fight harder for black acceptance and they will do black people's bidding. I've personally experienced this with men, with lighter skinned men who will try to fight me or they tried to really get aggressive with me a couple occasions. Okay, this was in San Diego where and I was like, damn, I was tripping out because like the darker skinned guy was just chilling. Wasn't the darker, I was cool with the darker skinned guys. I was cool with them. I was chilling with them, whatever, being cordial. But it was the lighter skinned guy who was hating on me. And now I'm mature enough where I can articulate this, where I know what the dynamic was going on. It's because that lighter skinned guy was trying to prove his position in blackness by proving his blackness by trying to punk me as a biracial guy or the lighter skinned guy. Maybe because that light skinned black wasn't the lightest guy in the room as soon as I showed up. Right. So he was trying to act tough to try to punk me to be cool with the dark skinned guy. But I didn't have any issues with the dark skinned guy. So I noticed this dynamic that was at play. That's happened a couple times. And I've seen that now. And I noticed that within like the kind of golden sphere space, the golden sphere, where you had lighter skinned guys who were basically just blacks. Like they identify as black, they're from the hood, wherever they're from. And they're always going to be the first ones to cry and complain if you challenge a pro whack or you critique black people in a manner that's not to their liking because that's their community. Hey, that's so I said a whole lot there, but my whole thing is, look, with this channel, I have a specific target demographic that I'm speaking to specifically. Everyone's gonna tune in and join the discussion. That's fine, but I make no like mistake about who I'm primarily trying to reach. I'm not ashamed of that. I would say about half. I'm multi-generational mulatto. Most of mine marry each other from St. Mary. The poor brown people tend to marry with black people. It's a class distinction there. Let's see what else we got here. You put here, did you see that the game developer named Danny Launders? No, I haven't seen that or heard of her. It says whites hired her to create a Black Panther game. She says she doesn't hire whites. Look at what AA do when they are in power. What they often do is they discriminate against mulattoes when they're in power, when they're in these clerical positions or office or administrative positions. That's their way when their white massa gives them the whip, so to speak, and the euphemism, right? When they're given a little juice and influence from their white massa, the first thing they're going to do is wield it over other blacks and then people who are adjacent to the communita, meaning biracials, if they're half black, right? Mulattoes fall into that. So that's what they're going to do. Firstly, yeah, they're going to wield that power over other people who are adjacent to blackness. But in this case, you're talking about how she didn't want to hire whites, even though the whites gave her the job. That's typical with them. Yeah. Yes, it does. Yep. I have a distant cousin that was owned by John Anderson from, he says, but from Portland. Yeah. Says the irony is that the Black Panther superhero was created by a white man. Yeah, isn't Stan Lee? Stan Lee created that, the Black Panther. My Harris relationship was from St. Mary in Portuguese, Jew, and English. Like I would consider someone who is 30% or more with European of any other non-black heritage to be an MGM, most likely. Yeah, we have to be careful there because my criteria cutoff is within the 40-60%. That's just me. I don't really focus so much on the percentages. There has to be a cutoff. Me, like I said, some more so the identity. What type of culture are you going to promote? Are you going to help develop the culture? What do you, yeah, so I focus more so on that, embracing both, being as balanced as possible. So the whole percentage thing to me, I don't really get into that whole area. There's some people who have other views on that for obvious reasons because there's a lot of mulattoes who have kids with white people, but they still support me and they want to include their offspring into the discussion, and vice versa, the other way as well, where you have mulattoes who have offspring with black. But I think those ones, they understand that they're basically belong to the black group, right? If you're a mulatto, you're biracial, and you have kids by a black person, I think they see a guy like me, they kind of know it's like, yeah, you're basically just absorbed into the black group because there's already a lot of admixture and with colonialism stuff going on there. So they don't really push back at me. They kind of understand. They listen to me. They know the deal. But I find the other ones who have like white partners, they kind of push on the whole percentage thing. But like I said, I don't really get too fixated on that. I just want, if people are going to identify with us, help us, assist us, offer something, make a deal, we could take it from there. So Jamaican history, it's not related though. Me Anderson. My fiance just started laughing at your Wesley Snipes reference. Yeah, because Wesley Snipes, they always use Wesley Snipes as like their blueprint to where like he's their dark skinned hero, Wesley Snipes. For the dark skinned Bantus in America, Wesley Snipes is like their role model representation, their hero. From what I've seen. I don't know why. Just I guess it's because in media or in motion picture, he was like the first dark skinned guy that some people are saying that was really like heavily given screen time in the media. And that's because they're white. Like I said, is these blacks, they love their white massa. It's because their white massa decided to cast Wesley Snipes in these movie roles and present him as the lead actor in these movies. So all the blacks like, oh, my white massa is choosing a dark skin. So they that's how it is. If you want to understand these people, you know that they love their white massa. And their issue with you is that you're closer to white people than they are. That's their issue with you. They're always going to be jealous and envious of you. And that's fine. They can stay jealous, but over there, we need to have something as we need to distance ourselves to have a protection layer here. That's my whole thing. Now, some people, like the golden people, they want to have their little petition. They want to have a petition for protection. I thought that was funny too, because a lot of those golden people, they act like a bunch of blacks anyways. Like, I don't know if I want to get into it with the Caesar Cannon guy, but like you have like a lot of the light skinned blacks or whatever, they got tattoos on their face and they're flashing their firearms on camera and they're acting like a bunch of blacks, but like they still like want to petition to have protections from blacks, but they want to act like blacks and intimidate people. So it's just very bizarre, this whole experiment on the internet, on YouTube, with the whole golden sewer thing. I'm looking at it like it's just, yeah, I'm doing something different. My mom didn't do that. She always told me I was mixed. Both of my parents did this and either tried to make me pick a side. Yeah, my mom never told me to pick a side. My mom's a white woman. Never told me to my black family never told me to pick a side. So I was never put in that position. It wasn't until I was an adult and I started seeing strangers, not even family, strangers trying to tell me to pick a side. I'm like, this person does not have my best interest. I got to get the hell away from this person. Okay. Anybody who's telling you to pick a side, they're not your friend. Okay. They're trying to know where you stand because they're trying to strategically find a way to either one, humble you, two, knock you off your pedestal, or three, to kind of deal with you in a nefarious way. So whenever anyone puts that, pick a side stuff, they're not your friend. Kamala Harris, as far as I know. From what I've seen with some black women and biracial sons, I'm not too sure if it's true or not, but sometimes they tend to force their biracial sons to only marry and date black women and not other races. It's interesting because how is that though when we already know it's public? A lot of black women prefer dark-skinned men because dark-skinned men are coddled in black society, in black America, I should put. Other countries is different. I feel like if it's in Africa, these African nations, I feel like the biracial guys could get an African woman just like easily. Because the culture, it's the culture. It's the culture of people you're dealing with. I feel like, honestly, if you're a biracial guy, like I seen that when I went to Ghana. I had a couple women asking me if I'm married. They want to get married. Like literally, there's women who will ask you that. You just met them, but they want to they look at you. They're like, I want to marry you. Yeah, in Kenya, I did a video of a guy, a mixed guy. He's married to an African woman. Yeah, I feel like your value is going to be higher there in Africa. I was talking to a Kenyan chick, and she's dealt with a lot of mixed guys out there. I've never met the chick. I was just talking to her. But from the information I have, people I've talked to, I'm looking at it like, yeah, I feel like as a biracial guy, your value is going to be a lot higher in America here with the Latino community or the white community. But in Africa, yeah, with black people in Africa. But with black people in America, no, because there's anti-biracial sentiment with black people in America. And the black men, the dark-skinned Bantus in America are coddled by the black matriarchy. Black women coddle and worship black men, and they don't value biracial men. So biracial men are forced to fucking go elsewhere. Like that's what I'm seeing. So like when you put the comment here about how you see black women basically trying to force their biracial sons to marry black, but I'm like, how are they going to force their sons to marry a group of women who we already know that they don't prefer them? They prefer the darker skinned Bantus. So it's interesting dynamic. I was never forced to be with any group of women. My mom never encouraged me. was basically just get with the best option. And it's a lot of options in America. I prefer the mulatto, just period. There is no statistical, there is no statistic for MGM or brown people in Jamaica. Again, you made that stat up. What, Celtic mulatto? Both of you guys are doing the Jamaican reference. I don't know. There are MGM brown people in every parish in Jamaica since slave times. Can you show me where the women hate their counterparts to prove their loyalty to black race? Yeah, there was a comment. The guy, you know who it is. He's over on TikTok. He has a channel here too, but he doesn't produce content on his channel here. Yeah, there's a couple content creators, man. There's a bunch of receipts that I have. I'm backlogged with all the stuff that I want to talk about that I have and all that stuff because like everybody else. I'm a working professional and I have a lot of other obligations. But yeah, it's very common, man. It's very common to see where you'll have women who are biracial. Unfortunately, sadly, it is common, but it has to be noted that we can see if they're dealing with mostly black guys, if their supporters or their followers are black guys, a lot of these women, they're gonna literally hate on you to get, if you're biracial or mixed, to get in favor with the black men. Okay. But their market value is diminishing because the fact that they're attracting these black men, other races of men are not going to pay premium for these women. Other races of men are looking at these women as being lower than. It's not just going to be biracial men. It's going to be white men. It's going to be Hispanic men. It's going to be Asian men. All these other groups of men are going to look at these women as being lesser value because of the caliber of men that they attract and deal with. So they're only hurting themselves in the long run. If they can get the bag and get the money and I guess and get the laugh, the last laugh or the first laugh, whatever. But I'm looking at the results of a lot of these women. A lot of them are baby mamas by these black guys. So I'm like, you could talk all this shit you want, make all the light-skinned men jokes and all this crap. But I'm like, well, you're still a baby mama by a black dude. Like, what other man out here is like going to take you seriously? Come on. Like, do I need to say more? Yeah, First Parish, well known for brown whites. Yeah, very interesting dialogue. I'd probably get into that more later, but damn, it's late right now, and I'm not trying to get all into that. The kind of Jamaican dynamic there, because I know the Celtic mulatto, the other cat. You guys are more well versed in Jamaica. I've never been to Jamaica. I'll probably go one of these days, but that's what they got going on here in the chat. So yeah, let's see what we got. Skip through these comments. Yeah, because I see you guys taking over the discussion in the chat right now with this St. Elizabeth especially is famous for that. Take a trip. When I go most parts of Kingston, which is like the capital in Jamaica, it's like I'm in Africa. Most parts of Jamaica used to have lots of brown. Most have migrant. What generation are you? Millennial, Gen Z? You know, like you're in Africa, LOL. How every parish and town in Jamaica has a British or Spanish name. You ain't gonna find places like Africa and Jamaica unless you go to Maroon Village. That's an interesting dynamic. I wish I was in the position to kind of observe all this right now, but I've already been like almost 3 hours deep into this. So I'd like to kind of go back and analyze some of this stuff because this is new commentary to me as far as the Jamaican dynamic, because I do know they have a considerable mulatto population and there's been a lot of mixing, etc. in Jamaica. But I am kind of hyper focused on this America situation because our numbers are just sprouting all over the place. Our numbers are everywhere. Okay, here in this country, and I'm seeing that, and I'm like, look, I want these people, these younger mulattoes, to know they have another option. That they don't. You got these Dr. Umars, these black nationalists who are going to weaponize the one drop rule. I want these younger folks to know that they have an option. There's people out here who've been through similar things as they have, and we are trying to establish cohesion in the best way possible. I'm just one guy. Like I said, I know I'm not everyone's cup of tea. I don't, you know, I don't position myself to be that way, but I'm just one guy. Ton of people dark in Jamaica, 50% white ancestry, color, tell the story. Okay, let's see what we got here. This is a good and thought-provoking stream. You can be dark complexion and still mix your phenotypes out at all. It's Celtic mulatto. Says if the AA community can retain wealth. Admixture is a small amount of mixed race peoples have significant non-black DNA. Racially ambiguous, other Latinos regardless of color. I already said AA want mixed people. Yeah, they're overwhelmingly they're not your friend. If they can't use you, once they realize you don't identify with them, if they can't use you in some capacity, whether it's like sexually or as like support or to be a foot soldier, crash test dummy, then they look at you as a threat. With other races, it's not like I've noticed where it's like they just want their own shit. Like I'll look at like Asians or whites or other groups. It's like, well, if I don't deal with you, you don't have to deal with me. Let bygones be bygones. You're over there, I'm over here. It's cool. There can be harmony there. But I feel like with a specific demographic, depending on how they think, I'm not saying, oh, I'm not an absolutist, but I'm saying more so the Afrocentrics, like the Pan-Africanists, Black nationalists, like the Umar types and his followers, they have positioned themselves where they can't coexist with you. They're too hostile towards you. They feel like they have to absorb you. They want to absorb you. They want sexual access to have bastard kids to absorb you back into blackness, or they want to punk you. And like you put here, they want to delete you in a lot of cases. They want to commit crimes against you. So the logical solution is to get the hell away from them and protect yourself, right? Are what I call dark-skinned mulattoes, straight noses, soft hair lips. Yeah. Well, mulatto is a mulatto. You got considerable European African. The issue is you have some of these people who want to blur the lines. They want to say like a Michael Jordan or Wesley Snipes who's got like -3% European ancestry. They're going to say, well, he's a mulatto too, because his great granddaddy, on the plantation. I'm like, that's not the same as somebody who has a white parent or they have two white grandparents from both sides of their family, like a Zoe Kravitz. I like using her as an example, or as like a Steph Curry, right? Like, these people are trying to confuse the issue. It's them that are confused. Dr. Umar and his gang. Okay. Umar was in a lecture saying we are ugly and can't cook, but says he doesn't have hatred. Yeah. Umar is full of hate. We already know that. No, but I'm the hateful guy because I'm the hateful. The mulatto vanguard, so hateful. Yeah, cool. As long as you know that I'm not on your team, then I'm straight. I have a black female cousin who's a psychologist. She's extremely anti-mixed. All she used to talk about is light-skinned people. I won't go to a black doctor personally. I wouldn't feel safe. Damn, yeah. You know what never gets called out? The anti-mixedness within the black group. I put a comment on that on TikTok before too. I was like, because a lot of black people will put like, we need to talk about colorism in the black community. This is serious. We need to talk about colorism. And one of the like videos I put, well, we need to talk about the anti-mixedness in black community. And then some dark-skinned LGBT woman was like, no, the hell we don't. I just blocked the idiot. I was like, fuck you. I just blocked her. But that's how how arrogant and a lot of them will be. This is like a woman too, an LGBT woman who was like, no, the hell we don't. That's how she responded to me. I was like, well, we got to talk about a lot of you people are anti-mixed, anti-biracial. Okay. No, they don't have to talk about that, but they want you to talk about colorism. No, the fuck we don't. I don't give a damn. What are you gonna do? Cry to white people about me? Like, I don't give a shit. You're gonna cry to white people who don't have any color in their skin. The fact that this biracial guy is a colorist. Yeah, okay. Like, yeah, they want you to talk about colorism, to use your light skin privilege to give them access to white people, but they're going to take all these light skin and mixed jokes about you. You're supposed to sit there and take it on the chin. I was telling a woman, is an older lady, actually, shout out to her, Holly. She might be listening. I was telling her as well, like, I think it was today or the other day, we're just exchanging some notes, commenting. And I told her, I was like, man, I'm so sick and tired of seeing these coward ass biracials getting punked by black people on social media. I hate seeing this crap. I hate seeing biracial people allowing themselves to be mocked and punked. Like I said, I'd rather be the bad guy. They're gonna slander me, they're gonna defame me and all this shit. I'd rather be the bad guy, but you're not fucking punking me. And I hate seeing these biracials get punked out here like marks. That these blacks, these Bantus punk them out here and make them apologize for being mulatto. It's just, I hate that crap. And I was talking to this woman about it. She's an older lady. Shout out to her, Holly. And I just expressed to her, man, it's frustrating when I think of this and I analyze some of this stuff on social media. It's irritating how these self-hating, people, these mulattoes who hate themselves, who allow themselves to be just mocked for this fake acceptance with this other group. I don't get it, man. I don't like it. Look at any black person in power. They clearly discriminate against whites and mixed. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I experienced that too. A couple times. Yep. Always talking about us on podcasts and making videos about. See, that's why I'm doing a response. And then people will tell me, oh, you're race obsessed. It's a trauma bonding echo chamber. I'm like, these people give me content to talk about. They're talking about us, making broad general, assumptions about us. I'm going to counter, the rhetoric. I'm going to provide my own mulatto spin on things. That's it. That's it. And it's never going to stop either. As long as they're talking about us, they're just giving me more material. That's it. Only 70% of Jamaica is subject to African. Yes, I realize that most black people have an animosity towards racially ambiguous people. They don't look for the most best interest of us. They are our enemies. That's a bold statement. But you're in the UK, so you definitely have your unique perspective for sure. And a lot of my supporters and people I connect with from the UK as well. So I definitely want to kind of learn more about some of the nuances that are present there. But yeah, they're not overwhelmingly what I see as a man is that they're not your friend. I mean, the men, the Bantus, they want the women, the mulatto women, but they look at the men as competition. And it's not healthy competition where it's like if you have your friends you play basketball with, you're competing, or boxing. I like boxing. So you're jujitsu or something, you're competing, but you're friends afterwards. You shake your hand or whatever, you go about your business. But with this specific demographic, it's like the competition is like real. It's like on a racist competition. It's like on a racist level. Like they're not your people. Like for me, I know that. I'm comfortable. I can honestly publicly say that now. These are not my people. They've positioned and made that clear with all their anti-mulatto rhetoric over the years. And I've documented and noted all this stuff, and now I'm countering it. So yeah. The race or ethnicity, or ask where your base or phenotype features. You put, in my opinion, no black person should really be calling another black person or sell out if they are working other race of people. Yeah, majority of black people work for other races of people. That's why that whole argument is very foolish, right? Yeah, the same blacks will sit there and call other people like these like raccoon names. You come to find out they're working for a white company, or they'll narc out another black person or a mixed person. They're gonna go tell white people. They're gonna go report to the white social media platform. They're gonna publish all this crap like to white. I know these people. They know, because even within their own group, this is tribalism. They're going to always go to white people to try to do in another black. That's how it works, right? Or someone who's black adjacent, okay, who's half white. It's like, yeah, how's that going to work? I'm half white. You think the whites give a shit? You're going to tell them that I'm like a colorist. Okay, yeah, see how well that works. Mulatto can be dark brown and light. Yeah, I think that's a good description because you want to address the phenotype. That's why I think Bantu is extremely fitting, because a lot of these people, these Bantus, they want to basically muddy the waters. They want to blur the lines. They want biracials to be just as confused as they are. Okay, when we talk about phenotype, and like Dr. Umar, who's sitting there saying, "Oh, I know Africans who look just like her, like the biracial woman." Those are literally tiny percent if they're there. They're mixed. They're not Africans. Even Umar said himself, "Oh, because the Portuguese, because the British, they went to Africa, they had kids." Yeah, they're mixed. They're not Africans because they weaponized the Dr. Umar Afrocentrics weaponized the one drop rule. When you say Bantus, you're laying a clear line of distinction. You have mulattoes and you have these Bantus. We're different races, we're different groups of people. We're not the same. Okay. So because these like the Afrocentrics, the Bantus, they're gonna try to push. Even the other guy was talking about light skins. Oh, the whites aren't gonna call him white. I don't give a fuck what the whites call him. He ain't black. If he's got a white mama, okay, he's not black. So they purposely want to blur the lines to confuse you, to hoodwink you, so that all the cards can be in their hand. Okay, so that they want to position themselves so they make the rules. They want to be able to outgroup you whenever they see fit. They're trying to take power from you. And I try to tell these people, look, these mulattoes, you got to have full sovereignty and autonomy. You have to be the one that dictates the rules and makes the decisions. And don't give me all this percentage wise. We're only 3%. Like I already referenced, the East Indians are like 1%. Look at the type of group economics, cooperative economics, group cohesion they have. Now, they have an established culture and they have a home base in India with 1 billion people. So they have a lot of things going on for them. And a lot of them are already kind of given kind of, what do you call like subsidies or stipends, etc. They're already given kind of advantages with their visas to come over here and business loans. Neither here or there. They have a smaller percentage. They have a plan, even with that 1 percentile population. They're going to get into this business. They're going to dominate this business. They take over the hotel, motel industry. For the most part, they have a large market share. And in America, and then other businesses, the convenience stores, a lot of Koreans businesses have the convenience stores and all this stuff. But like I'm saying, their percentages, they're not the largest percentage population, but they still seem to be able to figure shit out. And they still are able to develop a kind of protection mechanism as a group. They can establish cohesion and they have a group to where nobody fucks with them. You notice that? I don't really see it. I don't really see people messing with that demographic. Yet they're a minority in America. Even in Kenya, I have a Kenyan contact. They have Indians out in Africa, in Kenya and South Africa, East Indians. I don't really see people messing with them out there. I don't hear the maybe I just don't hear the stories or whatever. But I know that there's more East Indians in England. Like that's where the highest population of them are outside of India is going to be in England or the UK. I think the prime minister is Indian, you know, the mayor of London's Indian. And then like I think the Scottish prime minister is Indian. I saw a post on Twitter where a lot of the Anglos over there kind of whining about that, about the Indians taking over political office. Now they got like a mulatto guy who's like the prime minister of Wales. Someone shared that with me today. Shout out to her, actually, a lady from the UK. I forgot the dude's name, the mulatto guy, the prime minister of Wales. And they're trying to rewrite it saying he's the first black, head of state in Wales. The dude, I think he has like a white mom. He's not, or a white dad. The dude's not, yeah, he's a white dad. So he's mulatto. He's not a fucking black. He's a prime minister of Wales. But see, that's how they blackwash mulatto history. They're going to try to write it down. He's the first black, like, head of state of Wales or something. He's got a white dad. But they're just going to try to erase that. And it's, there's a lot of white people who play along with that shit because they want to appease a lot of the black people, make them feel good, like they accomplished something. Like, it's like, but the guy's got a white dad who's just as influential as the black mom. Yeah. So we got here, if they gaslight and say you just light skin, then you're not black like me. Yeah. I had someone who said that to me. You just look like a light skinned black. Yeah, that's like their humbling tactic to try to say, sit your black ass down and be a proud victim like me. You just a light skinned black, right? I hate when they say light skinned. Yeah. It doesn't matter to them. I don't look black at all. If I tell them I'm part black, they start making S up like, I bet your hair gets puffy when wet. Who cares? My hair is straight. So when they can't tell you're black, that really triggers them. Do the same. Say you just brown skin, you're not ambiguous brown like me or dark brown. So MV, other races are teaming up with Bantu black men against mulatto men. I experienced it, man. Yeah, yeah. And you know what it is, especially the area I'm at, it's like, yeah, you have the white men and you have Hispanic men, Mexican men. I'll be specific, Mexican. Yeah, and black men. Yeah, they're all teaming up. It's because our numbers are growing significantly. And it's not just our numbers as a population, it's just that our prominence in society. Where I already referenced like the Super Bowl winner, Patrick Mahomes, the NBA. Didn't the Mulattoes win the NBA championship as well? The Denver Nuggets, the starting lineup. I don't know. I don't follow the NBA like that, but I think like at least as a starting five lineup, at least three of those men were mulattoes. On the Denver Nuggets, they won the championship. And we already know the Golden State Warriors, we got Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, mulattoes. So like in the NBA, the championship level, the mulattoes are dominating in all the sports, Patrick Mahomes, NFL. And it's like in the politics and even the motion picture industry. I just shared with you guys with the lady, FK Twigs, kind of funny name, but she's the mulatto who's in the movie, the new Crow movie coming out. So like all over like motion picture and media, and then sports, athletics, and politics, like the mulatto presence is growing and we're becoming more influential. And everybody knows the difference, but it's just we see the AA community trying to hoodwink mulattoes and trick you to pretend like you're a part of their group when you're not. It's just a lot of you guys haven't figured it out yet. And I'm just one guy who's just presenting the information, trying to get you guys to think about the situation. So I'm guessing they're all just lost their blackness somehow since the black kids are original, everyone else. So I'm guessing they just, oh, same question, I think. Or you put here actually, blackness somehow were colonized, but what I'm thinking is black people, the original of everyone, but somehow the white dominated them. Yeah, it's like a conspiracy theory, right? It's pseudo historical conspiracy theory that we're the original people, which is fine if there's a lot of white people who would say that too, but then it's like, okay, well, look at you now though. Like if you're the parents of all these races, why is it that your quote unquote children are outperforming you on every metric? Whose fault is that? It's white supremacy. It's the mulattoes. The mulattoes undermine us. You got to get away from these people. Once they start positioning this whole anti-mulatto conspiracy stuff, talking about how the mulattoes sided with the whites, get away from these people. They're not. They're claiming to be your enemy. Get away from them. Those same comments they use against mulattoes don't work. No white person thinks I'm black at all. I would have to tell them just like I would have to do with the blacks. In the clip, he said we end up with issues. Exactly. My upbringing was fine. Yeah, same with me. It's when we get the racism from black people online, the issue comes. Yeah, like that's the thing. Like, I think a lot of us, we've already dealt with racism from whites early on in our childhood. I've already talked about it here on the channel. We've already been acquainted with racism from whites, right? And we have white family, but a lot of times, like on the playground or at school or whatever, it's when we start to identify more as being black. It's a standard mulatto. When we grow older, we identify more as being black. We want to be more intact with that culture, and then the blacks will outgroup you out of jealousy. They'll push you out and outgroup you because they're jealous of you. They wish they were you. That's when some of the issues arise. It's because of them. The black aggression, the black racism towards biracials. That's when you start to see the issues. My whole thing is I just found a solution. Like, look, you just get the hell away from them. Go do your own thing. And once you do that, they're going to come follow you anyways. They're going to come navigate towards your social media and reach out to you and, hey, I'm a fan, I like what you're doing, let's talk. Like they're gonna become fans of you anyways. Like it doesn't matter. Okay, you just got to establish your own independence, do your own thing, period. That's it. Solution. So I'm guessing they just all lost. Oh, you repeated that comment, right? If they gaslight you saying you're light skinned, you're black, a lot of looking at the same comments, or you guys are typing it double time. Yeah, I was going to talk about this, make a little short video about this comment here. Additionally, I've heard, excuse me, Additionally, I've heard, quote unquote, you just want to be white. I'm like, I can lie if I wanted to, and nobody would question me. Yeah, it's funny the whole you just want to be white. Like, I don't, that's one of their main gaslighting tactics that they use, right? And it's projection on their part. It's them projecting onto you. Because I'm sitting there like, well, it's my birthright. I'm part white. How is it like if I just wanted to be black, that would be just as stupid and goofy as someone who just wants to be white, right? Like that to me, they use that a lot, but it doesn't hold a lot of weight because if you're biracial, you're black and white, you're white and black, like that's part of who you are. How the hell do you want to be something that's part of you? Right? It's just how you express yourself. My whole thing is to find some balance and to develop something that's uniquely independent and that's self-sustainable. And you have to have develop a culture surrounding that. But yeah, more on that one later because I thought about that the other day. I was thinking, I had some notes, I had some good thoughts, but that's why I like to write so I can put these notes down and come back to it later. Because that's one of their main tactics they're going to tell you. Well, you just want to be white. It's like, okay. He asked that girl if she was mixed race, but claims mixed doesn't exist. Gets mad at us for exactly. That's the circle, circle of confusion that the black pros, the pro blacks will do. They get mad when you identify as mixed and not just black. Yeah, because they feel like they're losing access. Remember, he's the dark skinned Bantu man. He wants access to the mixed woman. He doesn't give a shit about the men. He looks at us as competition, like Klay Thompson or Steph Curry. He looks at the mix or Drake or Obama, whatever biracial guy, they look at us as competition for the women. The dark-skinned Bantu men, they're more fixated on the men, on the women identifying as mixed because they want access. So a lot of my detractors are going to be black men because they know most of my supporters they see are the mulatto women, because I pedestalize mulatto women basically. I prefer them. They're the preference. So I promote them. If they identify as mulatto, if they identify as black, I just leave them the hell alone. But so a lot of my detractors are going to be black men. But I don't really have black women. I never really get black women on any of my platforms that are hating on or trying to get biracial men or mulatto men to identify as black. What I do see is I see these pro black women trying to attack white mom biracials. And I've done several videos about that. That videos did pretty good. It's a good topic because I guess a lot of people want to watch it. The algorithm. We have black women who are pro-black who will be like, "Oh, you have a white mom. You're a white mom biracial." So they'll talk crap about your white mom, but it's like they're just trying to attack white women because remember, for the black women, they worship and coddle black men, so they look at white women as a threat for their black dark-skinned man pookie preference, right? Because they don't give a damn about me. They don't prefer biracial men in their shithole community. The black women prefer black or dark skinned men. So that's why they hate on biracial women because they know that black men prefer biracial women. And then they hate on white women because they know a lot of black men like white women and fetishize white women. And of course, that black man has a kid with the white woman, has a biracial kid, then the black woman knows that that kid is not going to be under the influence of the black woman. Okay, under the matriarchy. They know that biracial kids, since it has a white mom, their framework is going to be completely different. They're not going to serve blacks. So that's why they want to attack us because they feel like they're losing control. They don't have any influence. So I can see the dynamic. It's very obvious. But yeah, most of the people who are hating on me, if they're like monoracial black, it's going to be the men most of the time. It's because they know what I'm saying is true. That's why they're going to result to ad hominem attacks. Oh, you a fool, or you a clown, or someone said I was a coward because I didn't drop the link because he wanted to quote unquote debate. I'm like, you can hit the Cash App and pay me or send me an email or something if you want to talk. I don't owe you blacks anything. You're going to have to pay me if you want something. So, but they're not used to people talking to them like that. Well, you're going to have to get used to it because I'm just one dude and this is only going to grow. But yeah. So I'm guessing they just all lost their blackness. I think I've seen that comment like several times. Yeah, he referenced us to chocolate milk. You don't mix milk and chocolate milk and get half chocolate milk. The black gene is dominant. But then he refers to everyone as like biracial and mixed. Yeah, the Prince of Papa John's is not fooling anybody. And then butter pecan, mocha latte, butter pecan. By their logic, the whites come from the black people, and everyone else that has dominated them comes from the so-called black people. But for some reason, they cry about being oppressed from these same. Well, that's the irony of it, right? Is that they say that the black, because even Umar referenced it, that we're the parent race, we're the parent group. All other groups come from us. But yet, what do? Like Dr. Umar, they cry about every other group. They talk about how the Chinese are racist to blacks. They talk about how the Mexicans and Latinos are colorist and racist to blacks. They talk about how the whites are racist. So they talk about how all these other groups, according to them, that come from the original black man and woman, the Kangs and Quangs of the earth, not earth, but the earth, right? It's just the irony there where you're like this supremacy mindset where they're talking like they're the parents of these groups. But now all these groups, now they're quote unquote children, are building spaceships and satellites and just running circles around them. And they can't seem to figure out why. Maybe it's just them. That's the issue. That's the problem. Maybe it's just the culture they have. But now they got to scapegoat biracials to kind of clean up their mess. Just identify with us so we can use you and absorb you. And you can be our crash test dummies. And I'm just one of the guys that asked the question, how much does it pay? Because I know these people, they got money. They give all their money to these Asians, to their white massa. I know these people got money. I'll take some of those little Negro pennies. Got that Cash App on the screen. Give me some of that money. And I'm not joking either. I know you people got money out here. So if you want any caping from me on my part, I need to hear that Cash App. Fuck that. Everyone is original times. Easy colonize them. Christianity, yeah. If they gaslight, I think I read that again, right? Of everything, something is missing. And to be honest, a lot of these black scholars don't like to admit for the terrible things they have done throughout history, but likes to point the fingers at the white. What I realize with me is because they're pointing the fingers at mulattoes now. They're pointing the fingers at biracials. Don't trust them. Good, don't trust me. Just, get out of my fucking face. Get out of my way. I'm not going to be around you unless it's entertainment or something. So, but like I was saying, like when I started my social media, my whole main thing was just to explore the history. Hey, well, mulattoes, like we have a history. We have mulatto people out here. Let's kind of do some research and dig it up and figure out how did we get into this situation where we are a group in America without representation. Other groups seem to have associations and institutions that represent their interest as a group. Asian, Latino, even African American, white. Other groups have representation. What the hell is going on with us? Like, we don't have any representation out here. Like, and that's the thing. Like, when I started my social media, I was like, well, let's kind of discover that. And then I find people who share information. We talk about the Walter Plecker, the Racial Integrity Act, how they've established this policy to remove mulatto from the census, to neutralize us, to force us to identify as black so we can be a group without any representation. And I look at the history of like different mulatto figures who have been falsely labeled as black. Like that was my main angle, was starting my channel. The content I wanted to produce here was to show that we actually legitimately have a footprint in history, helped develop this nation. But over time, what making content, trying to connect with other biracial people, like I said, it was mostly black men, Bantus, who had an issue with me being biracial and being proud. They're like, you can't be biracial, you know, like all the gaslighting tactics, right? So now I was like, okay, now these people are giving me good content to talk about. Because I was already going to get to all the black nationalist stuff, like, the Irritated Genie, Dr. Umar, Tariq Nasheed. I was going to get to all that stuff eventually anyways. But in between all of that, just random comments from just randoms Like, was like, oh, okay, you guys are giving me more content, proving my case. White families never accept you. They generalize, yeah. And we all have white families who have helped us financially and otherwise, right? So it's just the foolishness, defeatistness with society, even though they were already divided before the white man touched the shores of Africa. Yeah, because of all the tribal groups, even today, like they've always been divided. Like there's very tribalistic people. There's billions of African people across the continent of Africa. It's like there's always been tribes. The Afrocentrics, the Wakandanites, will try to gloss over and paint this kind of romantic history of Africa, that all the dark-skinned black people were living in harmony, they're all loving each other. And it wasn't until that evil white man and that Arab, they'll refer to them as invaders, came into Africa and divided them up. Maybe the people were already divided up. And then the other groups who were more sophisticated came in, found an opportunity to exploit. That's what happened in North America. The tribal groups here, like with the Incas in Peru, the Mayans and the Aztecs in Mexico, and the Cherokee and the Apache, all these other different Lakota, these other native groups in America were warring with other groups, okay, other tribes, and they weren't like unified or collectivized. So you had the European settlers who found an opportunity to exploit. Okay. Like these people are already tribalistic and fighting and warring. Let's help this tribe fight that tribe. Then let's fight that tribe. And, there's a war strategy. Okay. Same tactic employed in Africa is employed here in the Americas. And so this idea that these Afrocentrics try to, paint the picture that all these tribalistic people were all lovey-dovey, everything's the white man's fault, man. Yeah, they've always been divided. I don't see them unifying. They usually unify when it comes to like a George Floyd situation, when it's some like overtly racist situation where it's an overt attack against them. That's the only time they unify. But after the George Floyd thing, like a week later, they went back to like shooting each other, singing their rap songs and all the debauchery. I think that year, wasn't that song by Cardi B and Meg The Stallion, that song Wet Ass Pussy? I think that was in 2020 when that song dropped, right? So like that was like during the whole George Floyd bullshit. Right after George Floyd, all the protests and all that fake ass pro-black shit, they start dropping hip hop songs talking about popping the pussy and my wet ass pussy, and all the debauchery. It just goes right back to that shit. Never stops, man. I've been seeing this stuff for years now. Mulatto Vanguard, what's your thoughts on MGM light skinned people and light skinned black people who are trying to? I'm seeing the same comments. I read this comment like literally an hour ago. I've been here for a minute. If they gaslight and say you're light skinned black, me, brown skinned negroid. Yeah. Mulatto should just mix with Afro Latina culture and listen to Afro Latina. Identity Bader, they have a racial hierarchy in Latin America. Mulattoes are third from the bottom on that totem pole. I'm light skinned. Yeah. And mulatto should make Afro Latina music. Yeah. Damn, I got through all that 3 hours deep, 3.5 hours deep. Shout out to you guys. I've been late. Probably ruffled some feathers. Okay. But that's okay. That's kind of what this channel does. It's thought provoking. I want people to think. Most importantly, is I want to provide an alternative option to people. And if you don't like what I'm doing, that's fine. I just stress and I encourage you to create an option that fits your liking for you, for what you have going on. But moving forward, when I see these subordinate mulattoes, these biracials who are social justice warriors who want to convince the rest of us to just bow down to the community, that's not going to cut it moving forward. Okay. The more of us that increase in society, we're being produced, the more of us are out here, we realize that we have an option now and we're embracing that option. And this is just the beginning. All right, beautiful people. I'll talk to you guys next time. Sayonara.